Ahoy! We are here. Ahoy, mateys.
Ahoy.
Didn't hear what you had said, Lactoid.
Oh, I just said ahoy. Can you hear me now?
Oh, there you go.
Crucial information that we needed right away.
It is. But I'm glad you fellas are here. We've a few people said they were going to be late, so. But Corey, you managed.
I did. I said I might be late, and thankfully I am not late.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Nothing changes from week to week. It's either okay. I don't know, messing with keys, loud breathing, he's taking a bong hit, all of the above.
Yeah, like messing with his bong, I'm assuming. Like Gibbs, just so you know, whatever mic you're using is the mic right next to your keys. Okay.
What I can say is I prefer this music over that noise. I can say that should tell you something.
Good music. People have been saying.
Organized and private over here messing up my whole thing, taking me off cam, even though I'm not on cam.
I don't think you're using the right mic, or I don't know, something's off.
What do you mean? It just changed it.
Okay, no, it seems.
Oh, okay, yeah, maybe your hand was over it or something, but now it's better.
Yeah,
but
yeah, we getting organized here.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and we got a few people who are not going to be here for a while. Hold on, let's take a look as soon as my computer moves. So okay, yeah, we got a few people who it's going to take a while. I mean, by that I mean like the other half of the panel. The other half.
Just imagine if I was late, it'd just be you three, even worse. Man. And we all know I bring the conversation. Like I'm most talkative.
Okay. All right. Well, then we'll have to think of a way to entertain the audience now. So, Lactoid.
Yeah, what's up?
What's up?
What's up, G?
Curious at your current thoughts on the war.
No, the excursion. You have to be really clear.
Excuse me. Well, until he forgets, and then he says calls it a war.
It's only a war when we're winning, okay? But we want a war that we never started. Never.
Yeah.
So regarding the special military operation, I'm not a huge fan of it. Of course, I've been clear about that from the beginning. We're bombing them a whole bunch.
Wow. There's your liberal lactoid right there, libtoid.
Yeah. Although apparently we're gonna invade a bunch of Marines or something pretty soon. Looks like.
Taking Cork Island, baby, taking it.
Do you think that's likely? I'll ask you both, Gibbs and Lactoid. Do you think that's actually likely?
Yeah, I'll go first just so I can get back to fixing my shit and getting y'all invited to everything. But real quick, I think it's since 1988, Trump has been saying if Iran fucks around, he's taking Kharg Island if he ever became president. And then
can you give me a quote, please, of that? Since 1988.
Yeah, it's in the Guardian article. I'll send it to you in a second.
Okay.
Those
were his words.
No,
he's talked about Kharg Island in the 80s. Apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I could potentially believe that. Maybe the word Kharg left his mouth in some context. I'm not going to dispute that.
Yeah, here's a Newsweek
Wait, Trump said
article.
Kharg in the 1980s?
Yeah, here's a Newsweek article quoting the original
yeah, and he said he wouldn't invade in 2024.
Trump. Hold on. Well, that's what I'm about to get to. Listen, I'm trying to do this.
Yeah,
quick.
but don't you know how time works, Lactoid? 2024 is before 88. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
you didn't go to the right school.
So I went on a panel this week, and there was a guy named Nazi Points, aka Counterpoints, on there, and he came on. We all did our openings, and he said how MAGA flip flops, and I said, well, what's more consistent? If you say you're going to do something since 1988, if they're going to fuck around, and then when they fuck around, you do exactly what you said you were going to do. I think that's the most consistent. And, he got all upset and quit like a baby back bitch after openings. We got the clip. So, guys, if y'all want to now refer to Counterpoints, you can only refer to him now as Gibbs's bitch. And so, secondly, yes, I absolutely.
That clip doesn't prove anything.
It does prove everything. It proves everything. And so, like I said, because just go watch the first 5 minutes of that, and you'll agree that I own his soul. Anyway, just back to what I was saying.
I don't agree with that. I did watch it, actually. That's
I own his soul. Own it. Listen, how are you going to talk about Gibbs' substance abuse and then quit your stream because, I'm too drunk to stream? Listen, bro, if you're too drunk to stream, maybe you should learn how to handle your alcohol and not talk about other people doing something.
No, he just said he didn't want to waste his time.
Yeah, because I drink almost every stream, and he said that, but you don't know what he said in the back rooms. What I'm saying, guys, is listen, if he's a pussy and he wants to talk about not being able to do streams because drinking's gonna make him too mad and he's gonna slur. Listen, I drink almost every stream and I don't slur, and I come on here and I contribute.
You do slur. You slur. Correction, you slur.
I don't drop slurs. I just slur words. There's a difference. The point that I'm making is don't be a baby back bitch like Nazi Points. All right, that's the key. I own his soul. Don't talk about substance abuse if you can't handle your substances yourself. All right, and yeah, we're gonna take Kharg Island. Let's fucking go. All right, I'm gonna fix it.
Okay, go ahead. Well, first of all, Bam, it looks like happy to have you here, and so far your camera hasn't freaked out. We gotta run away on that one. But
I'm back to wired, so I should be good.
Oh, okay. So the only issue is that like you're
compressed.
Yeah, compressed. You're.
No, he may have lost a significant amount of weight. These GLPs are doing wonders.
Working out, like. Okay, yeah. Your aspect ratio is a little off. Much better. Much better. Okay. Now you're fat again. All right, we're back to sorry. Lactoid, go ahead. Your thoughts?
I mean, I don't know much more there is to say about it. I mean, I'm opposed to it. I'm guessing there's a decent chance of some kind of ground incursion, although I think it would be limited to just securing the Strait of Hormuz, is my guess, to allow oil passage.
Trump says he wants them to get uranium.
Yeah, like I said, my guess is that they're going to be taking the Strait of Hormuz or securing it or whatever the fuck.
I thought the war was done, though.
My position,
there shouldn't be anything left, right? We won. Everything obliterated. There's no.
I also
issues.
just think, I think I'm very consistent in saying that it's not a fan of this. Not a fan of us doing this. It's been very expensive. It absolutely has had global economic ramifications, and I said the same thing about the Russian-Ukraine conflict as well. And just shortly after, all this issue, all these oil issues that we're having with Iran, Ukraine bombs an oil export facility in Russia, further exacerbating the crisis. But of course, they're not going to get any criticism for that.
Well, that's
so. I mean,
do you think we've hit the point? Have we hit the point for you where you can say boring Biden 2 administration or a Kamala Harris administration would have been better, at least economically?
No, I don't think so.
Things would have been worse right now.
Probably. Probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
I think Kamala. I think Kamala had a likelihood of doing it anyway. I think Kamala definitely, significantly had more likelihood in expanding the war in Ukraine, funding them even more. I mean, we're already just under 200 billion in, which is a tremendous amount of money, far more money than we've given to Israel in the past even 20 years, and they're our second biggest benefactor as of late.
Wait a minute, we're about to give 200, and Pete Hegseth is asking for additional 200 billion for the war effort to Iran.
To Iran. I'm talking about direct. I'm talking about funding for Israel.
Sorry, but I'm saying, but I mean, we're talking about money being spent, though, right?
Right. Yeah. That hasn't been spent.
This is money for Israel.
Yeah. He's I'm
about to say
that's a position. Okay, but they're just real quick. My understanding is the 200 billion he's asking for is like a ceiling. He's asking for like a chest.
Ceiling.
Like a chest that he can then use to not necessarily commit all of it. Am I wrong on that?
Yeah, until it runs out, and then he would ask for more.
Until it runs out.
Yeah. Runs out. Yeah.
Well, hold on. When or if it runs out. And look, I want to say this. You know, let's say he does use up 200 billion, which I'm not going to defend. You know, is it really that unrealistic to assume that Kamala would have doubled aid to Ukraine, and then also potentially done something in Iran as well? As my friend Prime here is well aware, the Democrats are not shy of engaging in military adventurism and unifying with Israel to accomplish certain political goals in the Middle East. So it's very possible that this happens too.
Well, I have thoughts on that, but before I share them, I'll let our local Democratic shill, Bam, like respond to that if you'd like to. You don't have to.
No, I would. I think that, like, whenever you talk about spending, one thing that I think in all likelihood, and you would call this a bad thing, I would call it a good thing. I don't think Kamala Harris would have. I don't think Kamala Harris or Joe Biden would have extended the Tax Cut and Jobs Act. I don't think he would have extended the deficit spending that we're doing. And I think that we would have been taking in a lot more tax revenue that wouldn't have had the I mean, we still would have had a negative deficit, but I don't think it would have ballooned to 40 trillion in less than a year. And I also don't think Kamala Harris would have used $200 billion in taxpayer revenue to go golfing.
I think Kamala's proposed economic bill would have absolutely led to more spending than Trump's. I mean, you see this consistently.
When Democrats spend,
Democrats for spending.
No, that when Democrats spend, Democrats match those with cuts in other areas. Democrats don't typically just plain deficit spend the way Republicans do.
No, they advocate for like raising taxes and stuff, but they do spend more in total.
Yeah, but if you
the only reason why 2016 era Trump, the only reason why he spent a bunch of money, really, compared to other presidents, is because of COVID.
Republicans love spending.
Because of COVID. I mean, if you look at their actual spending and proposed spending, it's not the same.
So why are we spending
in 2016? Trump had lower proposed spending than any single Democratic candidate at the primary.
It's not about total output. It's about how much spending is irrelevant. Deficit spending is the problem.
I think both are bad.
No, so deficit spending is far worse. Spending money that you don't plan on covering.
Bad. I'm not going to
I'm not going to talk about the way Jeff Bezos spends money because he has money to cover it. But it's worse for somebody to use a credit card to pay for things.
Well, deficit spending is far worse. But again, this is like ignoring. This is also.
I'm saying that somebody who doesn't pay off their.
But again, the comparison. But here, this is where you and I would disagree. I see Bezos as getting his money through consensual contracts. The real comparison in my mind is, should I go rob somebody for their money to buy that Gucci purse, or should I put it on my credit card and then rob the person later on down the road to pay off the credit card that I just used to buy the Gucci purse? Both are bad. I'm not a fan of both. Ideally, we should stop. I don't know.
Because you're doing two crimes. You're doing two things. You're putting on a credit card and then robbing somebody.
Well, no, you're still doing one crime. You're just delaying the crime. And if you look at total spending, if total spending is less, if we're accomplishing total less spending, then as I see it, there's total less theft. The one point you might have,
God,
The one point you might have that here, look at the taxes dick. All right, I'm just saying that's what it says. Anyway,
Lactoid, I just forget how insufferable you are sometimes. I do love you, and I appreciate how sometimes we can team up, but I forget
the last two panels we were far too friendly, Hunter. Okay,
I agree.
So anyway, taxation is theft. It's bullshit, and I'm a big fan of the fact that Big Beautiful Bill did have some spending cuts in it. I'm not a fan of the some stuff in there that I thought was not needed, such as the ICE budget increase, or once again the military budget increase, which seems to happen every fucking time.
Yeah, so I mean, he increased it to 1 trillion last year, and he's proposing 1.5 trillion this year. That's the proposal.
This is the trend with every fucking president since.
Not at that rate.
It's massive.
Hey, at least Democrats are honest. Okay.
This is
it's not even honest.
Increase.
Democrats
at least
over this.
The Big Beautiful Bill did reduce overall spending. It just didn't fund it didn't actually fund as much because it continued the Trump era tax cuts, which I think did have a positive impact in the economy. And there's economists who reported on it that it said that it has.
After Doge, there was an increase in spending in 2025 compared to 2024. After the cuts, there was an increase in spending.
Did
it would have been more if it wasn't for the shutdown? Sorry, go ahead.
The whole maybe, but with the Big Beautiful Bill, are you saying that the spending would have been more without that or with that?
I'm saying whatever was done, there was an increase.
Right. That increase is. I'm telling you, that increase is going to happen. Either way.
Yeah, that's probably entitlements, like things
it's entitlement spending, interest payments.
No, I'm saying that like this from an administration that said it was going to cut, it was going to save. They still managed to increase. Yeah, and yet still they managed to increase.
What I'm trying to tell you is that they cut it, and the overall spending, the overall spending did go down. Is what I'm trying to tell you. It would have been higher had it not been the Big Beautiful Bill.
Overall spending went down because of
the Big Beautiful Bill.
Because of the shutdown.
Wait, hold on.
No, the shutdown probably cost us money, just to be clear.
I'm seeing a couple analysis that say that it would increase the deficit, that the Big Beautiful Bill increased the deficit by 2.4 trillion. Oh, so you're saying it just
he's okay. He's
decreasing.
How would that?
But he's accepted.
It's decreased spending and tax cuts, so it's all good.
Yes, here, it's very simple. If you decrease spending but then also cut taxes, you could deficit spend at a higher rate than if you increase spending and
I
increase
understand.
taxes.
They decreased spending, but they didn't decrease. Totally. Gotcha. Yes. I probably agree with that. Yeah. Or sorry, that's probably true, is what I mean.
Yeah, no, you already said.
Wow, consensus. He agrees, bro. He agrees.
I usually am against cutting taxes because I think that
Well, it's because you hate hardworking Americans that make
true. I'm a fucking dirty liberal, and I want I want everyone, not just billionaires, by the way.
Let me build a bridge. Let me build a bridge.
Bullshit rhetoric.
People making over 100K vote Democrat.
Hold on. Let me build a bridge here. This is something
because of guilt, because they know it's right, because they know they need to give back.
I've been saying this all week, though, right? So, the more and more fraud we see how advantage the system has been taken advantage of.
So, what are the prosecutions for fraud there, Gibbs?
Can
you give me some prosecuted fraud cases?
Happening. What's his name?
So there's no fraud yet.
No, there is fraud. There's happening.
No,
the vice president is getting right on it. Okay.
Yeah, he's on it. He's on it.
That's who gets on fraud, right? It's the vice president.
Yeah, he's on it. He's in charge of it. He's in charge of it. Anyway,
totally.
I've seen enough fraud now that I might actually be willing to be okay with some of these programs instead of expanding them. Let's see what these programs actually do for people if we can gut the fraud, because clearly they're not working as intended.
Have you seen Nick Shirley's
I want to point out
$350 worth of fraud.
True.
I want to point out
$350.
I want to point out two things. First of all,
unacceptable.
He's absolutely correct about the home health care fraud that's happening in Los Angeles County. You know that 1 out of every 10 hospice dollars of the whole country is spent in that one county. Isn't that crazy?
Exactly.
But here's another thing that just came out today. Something fascinating. So I'm reading right here. Abdul Abu Bakr Ali, who's a Somalian in Minnesota, pleaded guilty to 1 count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud regarding feeding our future. We talked about this. 1.5. He claimed to serve 1.5 million meals. That was not true.
A lot of
fraud. He was sentenced for committing this fraud.
We went over this last
time.
It's
happening.
No. Well, this is just today. He was just sentenced today for his role in the Feeding the Future fraud, which is absolutely fraud. So 1 year. One year he got.
Can I respond? Is that okay? You can keep going if you want. If you need to go.
Fraud, it's coming.
The first thing I'm going to say is, largely speaking, there have been cases about fraud in Minnesota over the last 10 years. The idea that this is due to Nick Shirley is probably pretty silly. The second
it's due
thing,
to Tim Walz and he's fraudulent corruption.
Nice. It's the governor somehow. The second thing that I want to say, it's genuinely just because you know who the governor of Minnesota is. It's him. It's him. Let's get him. The second thing. Hold on. The second thing. Nick Shirley has lied about me in particular. So I really call me. I think if people lie about you in particular, you're just going to shut off almost anything that they're going to say. So
fair enough. Hold on. I just want to say, fair enough. If you have a personal beef with the guy because he's lied about you, I'm not expecting you to trust what he has to say. What I will say, though, is that I think his video got rightful level of attention on what's going on there. I think, Gibbs, you were a part of that with me, I'm pretty sure, when we covered Feeding the Future specifically. This was before Nick Shirley's video. And the Office of the Legislative Auditor did look into that and condemned Minnesota's government under Tim Walz for various oversights and various just complete I think specifically they used negligent, if I remember correctly, in terms of how they handled a lot of the handling the finances. There's a reason why Tim Walz is not rerunning because of this, by the way. And then Feeding Our Future, which is one of the single biggest example of actual fraud that has existed that we can really pin down and that actually has legal weight behind it. The sentences here are pathetic. 1 year. This is one of the biggest. We're talking millions of dollars. This guy was involved in this massive fraud. He gets 1 year in prison.
Sure.
I agree. Trump pardoned somebody with $200 million of fraud.
Yeah, exactly. What difference does it make? It's white collar crime. Welcome to how white collar crime is treated in America. What the fuck? It wasn't. It wasn't
a more than a year.
I understood.
Who are you arguing with? We all agree.
Yeah, I get it. That happens often.
I'm glad.
If you even go to prison at all.
I think we all agree that largely speaking, I will. I didn't want to. I will say that there is an angle that you can take where you can say that obviously speaking, if you are committing more violent crime, that probably speaks a little bit more to your character than if you just defraud millions of dollars.
Hold on,
wait, hold on.
This does not.
No, I agree.
I'm going to clarify it in the next sentence. I'm going to agree with what you're going to say.
It's okay.
I hate to do it, but I actually do somewhat agree with Hunter thus far. Continue going.
I will say
that's not a win for Hunter.
If you defraud
Pablo Escobar was actually a good guy. He didn't do violent crime himself.
Let Hunter go.
Yes, he did.
I will say in an indirect way, if you defraud millions of dollars from the federal government, you're probably leading to the deaths of hundreds of people. Or I don't know the amount, but it's probably going to be more than one person. But the human being probably doesn't factor in that consideration. So that is worth considering. But I think that that's probably something that we should crack down on harder because it does lead to more deaths. So I am in favor of increasing the amount.
Lactoid, you're I'm going to pull back because I feel like, Lactoid, your entire political project says the opposite of what you just said. Talking about how taxes are theft, right, and stealing from individuals. You guys have been here, my regulars, right? You've been here as the libertarians have lectured me, right? Well, hey, taking property is just like taking life, right? And now, Hunter puts up a situation where
that's right.
They steal money, right, from millions of individuals, and then Lactoid's like, yeah, that's just that might be worse.
Right. You're actually 100% correct.
7-Eleven. Yeah, it might be.
You're 100% correct.
I feel like you're extrapolating a little bit.
No, Prime is right. Is actually right. If I go and shoot one guy at 7-Eleven, that is way less bad than them taking millions of dollars in tax fraud. There's so many more people hurt, including me. I'm not hurt by the guy getting shot at 7-Eleven. I am hurt by the guy fucking us on taxes. It is much worse.
Hold on.
Much worse when Gibbs.
Fake libertarian. Yeah.
Okay. Can I respond? Yeah,
Please.
taxes are bad. These fraudsters are bad.
No, they're
government
theft.
of
Excuse me, they're theft. Is what I've been told for years at a time. They're theft. Go ahead.
Yes.
See, this
Yes.
he's secretly
Oh,
taking.
I said taxes are bad because they're theft.
No,
Committing
but-
fraud and stealing a bunch of money from the government is bad because you're stealing the money that the government stole it from, right?
You would say theft
you're
is
stealing.
bad.
Yeah, I would say theft is bad. Let's just roll with this. We're just
Hold
giving
on,
a little bit of charity.
Lockjoy would say how
And,
successful they are matters. If they're successfully
no,
steal a lot
stop.
of money,
No,
they're
no,
more morally
no,
correct because they have
no,
more money.
no.
So they're more
Lockjoy, just say
correct because they have
something
money.
right.
That's what he would say. That's the problem.
No, it's all bad. And then the government of Minnesota is bad for the office for what the Office of the Legislative Auditor found, which is that they were incredibly incompetent when it comes to taking people's money and running
they're
funds
incompetent.
that is
They're
associated with that money, which is what was found. And Tim Walz is bad for many reasons, but that's one of
So
them.
you're going to explain how that's not worse.
And
than
so,
money.
but what Hunter is saying, which there's some truth behind, is that when it comes time to divvy out punishment, we have different interests in play. There's multiple different interests we have for how to deal with somebody who's done something bad. Sometimes we have a restitutive, or we do have a restitutive interest, I think, in almost every case. We can have a case. We also have an interest in rehabilitation. We want to correct them. We also have an interest in the public safety, right? And somebody who's a psycho, who's shooting people, or who's incredibly aggressive and violent towards people, they have a different kind of mind, and they're more of a threat in the immediate term than somebody who, was placed into a position of financial power and then took advantage of that for personal gain. And then we just, we can punish them, but the risk of them doing it again if we remove them, the risk of them doing it again if we remove them from that
Or
position of
reintegrating
financial
with
power
society.
is going to be less, right? And they're probably going to be more apt to be reintegrated with society than, again,
So they don't
somebody
need to be in jail longer than a year.
Oh, no, they should be in jail longer than a year.
Yeah, we all agree.
Wait a minute. You just said that
they're
they can be,
gonna
as long as we remove them from the position, they can be reintegrated back into society. Fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
more likely.
But 1 year is crazy, is what I'm trying to say. Like,
What's the-
I think murderers should probably get like life in prison. This guy should probably get like 10 years, like less.
How is this controversial? What are we
It's too
talking
much.
about?
It's too much. It's too
Yeah.
much, Lacto.
Yeah,
It's too much.
I don't know. I
This
think
is
they
my
should,
whole experience talking with the
press
left.
them.
I just say something common sense, and they just like,
No,
that's
no,
ridiculous.
I don't.
No, it's
I think
not.
you're like,
Wait, hold on.
taking
Walk
the position.
walk through what Lactoid is saying is so crazy.
It's not
Well,
crazy. I think it's pressing
one
stuff to
tax
take
fraud's
the
worse than murder. So
Like,
No,
if-
wait,
if-
hold on,
if
hold on,
we're
hold
having
on.
a conversation,
When we talk about-
tax
hold on.
fraud or having a conversation just about the fraud guy, like he will be going so much harder than he actually. Like it's a wiggle both sides.
yeah,
thing.
I agree.
Hold on.
I
I have
agree. He is
family
wiggling
members.
and wobbling.
I have family members
Peter
who
Cotter.
currently like fucking commit fraud to their who are in charge of a business and fucking fraud their employees. Okay,
Nick
Like,
Shirley, get his ass, bro.
True. No, I hope you do. I hope you do.
I'm sitting this
These
guy
are
right
family
now.
members. I don't stand by them, but I do know them, and they are personable.
Now we
people.
know why you're mad. He lied.
They're
about it.
like socially coherent. Okay, they are dishonest people who are likely ripping these people to shreds monetarily, but that doesn't feel the same in terms of like what
Yeah,
it
it doesn't
terms
feel
of
the same.
being a person. Totally, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
if I
it's-
know a
it's more
fucking
pernicious because it's
murderer,
actually worse.
Yeah, hold on.
if I know someone
Hold
who's
on.
stabbed like Rob
Because
I know
Reiner type
people.
shit.
I know people
You're
that
not-
kill people. They're not actually like foaming rabid dogs.
No. But it
They're not
depends on the
that bad, most of
circumstances,
them. Most of
right?
them are nice guys.
If we look at like Rob Reiner type
I know, I
shit,
know.
where like they just like he fucking stabbed to death the dad, or like someone who shot up a liquor store, who was just like he was trying to grab the money, people were getting defensive,
Yeah, but-
spur of the moment, shoot someone, acts like
But
shoot
that's
someone
not
in
as
the
bad.
leg,
That's
like
honestly
from-
not as bad. Like the one life
Hunter.
being affected, oh, that's bad. Okay, cool, he died. Oh no, but like millions being affected, that's way worse.
I understand.
Way worse.
I
Lactoid
understand
over here
in
is flipping
an
flopping like a
impact
fish.
utilitarian
Crazy.
perspective.
Crazy
Why
flipping.
can't you hold both of
So
these
Hunter-
things
Hunter,
simultaneously?
Because
No,
I don't
God-
give a shit. Like I have a gun, so I don't die. That's why y'all should buy guns.
That's amazing.
This is my experience
That's
talking to the right, Lactoid.
Yeah, we're correct. We're
Wait, that's different. That's different. No,
it's nonsense.
hold
It's worse
on.
nonsense. It is worse nonsense.
Yeah, but
Gibbs-
hold on. There's so many videos of a guy
Gibbs is a special.
No, hold on, hold
a
on.
little
How
bit.
many videos? If I go right now and I say, if I look up a guy,
He's
robbing a liquor
extremely
store,
common among
yeah, if I pull up a video right
1,000,000%.
now of a guy robbing a gas station, and I say citizens stopping robbery at a gas station, there's gonna be another 100 videos of a good guy with a gun blasting him or tackling him or whatever. You know how many good guys with a gun stop tax fraud? Zero, because they don't fucking know about this shit. It's more pernicious. It's more insidious. It's more duplicitous.
Wait a minute.
Worse.
Yeah.
So it's worse because you can't go stop it?
No,
at a
it's
gas
worse
station with a gun?
I'm not affected by Bob getting shot in Houston.
No, you are affected by Bob getting shot.
No,
absolutely.
Yes, you are.
It affects your safety.
It literally affects your safety. It affects your property. Hold on. It affects your property value, doesn't it?
Bob should have hired a security guard. Well, not in Houston. I don't live in Houston. You know, you shot.
No, what if someone was shot next to you?
Going outside.
Good,
then it would lower my property values. I pay less taxes. Jackpot, baby.
I will say, as someone who has had someone get shot right in front of me, it does affect whether or not you go outside.
That's true.
Well, that's because you're a pussy. You got to get a
gun. Oh my god!
And maybe a helmet and a body armor that goes above the neck. I don't know.
Yeah, why didn't just Charlie Kirk?
I'm sorry you experienced.
He should have had a body armor and a neck protection.
I still go outside. I'm not holding in, but it does like rattle you for the first week at the very least.
I'm just saying I'm sorry that like you experienced that, right?
Sure. And if that were more commonplace, it happened in a place that it basically never happens.
Yeah.
If it's more commonplace. If it's a place that you just hear gunshots and you're like, yeah, that's a mile away. That's just what happened.
But the people there are traumatized like constantly.
Wait, you would feel just as like scared if it was commonplace that like you went to work and like 75% of jobs like you just didn't get paid. Like they're like, oh,
right?
You never know.
Sure.
If you're at one of the
I would not be
I
just. I'd be pissed. I wouldn't be just as traumatized.
No,
I will start rolling dice, boys.
I agree with
you're like, okay, I got this job. You go through like you talk like the process of being homeless.
Who are you arguing with?
Yeah, I'm not getting shot. Exactly. What do you want from me?
Well, then wear body armor. You'll be fine. Go to work.
No, you're not gonna just be fine.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
No, that's not the way that works.
They literally hold on. You're a lawyer. They literally make carbon fiber like suits now. Not
it's
don't
literally
have
you could be like John Wick.
I bet you. I'll bet you this, Gibbs. I'll bet you this. The fraud in the Somalian fraud in Minnesota, which I think is terrible, but the Somalian fraud in Minnesota has cost me personally less than it would cost to go out and get a bulletproof carbon fiber lawyer suit that I have to wear around the court every day now.
It's only like $1,500, but
$1,500. Yeah. A drop in the bucket.
Hold on, all that fraud going to
the Minnesota fraud in particular
buying weapons for the warlords and killing each other, bro. You're directly contributing to warlords, bro. How do you?
Yeah.
Wait, I mean, all jokes
without
aside,
getting the benefits of owning the stock in them. It's bullshit.
All jokes aside, like I'm not even talking placing like an actual some level of like moral accountability. But I think can we all acknowledge and agree that Nick Shirley's video like is directly like you could make the connection. It led to the death of Alex Preddy and Renee Good. Like a 1 + 1.
How high are you? Can you give me your dealer's number?
What?
100%.
Hold on, walk me through. I'm not.
Oh, immigration. They're against immigration, like, so they deployed to Minnesota because there's immigrants there.
Like, Nick Shirley essentially started the ICE going to Minnesota.
How about like the girls getting raped by like? How about like by these illegal aliens? Did that lead to their deaths?
I don't watch the video.
Back to it. Trump directly responds to conservative news, right? He takes action directly after like seeing things like that are blowing up in conservative news.
I don't know if that happens.
Do you deny that, Lactoid?
That was for sure. Wait, hold on. Can I translate this a little bit?
Yeah,
Lactoid? I
go
can
ahead.
help. What's going on?
Thank you.
There was a really good piece back in Trump's first era, like 2017, 2018, where Trump implemented policies that were directly consistent with what was on Fox and Friends the night before. It was specifically with Fox and Friends. He watched that show fucking religiously, and a lot of like clips that were shown while he was answering questions, you could just hear Fox and Friends like fucking blasting in the room next door. I don't think he watches Twitter where he saw Nick Shirley. I don't think Trump has seen the Shirley video.
Fraud.
It blew up outside
Somalian fraud that
Twitter.
Specifically came. They didn't come from nowhere. It came
Bro,
from
but y'all, hold on, y'all are
And then-
ignoring
and then
all
it
the
blew up
other
in
news
conservative
stories
media.
where
That's what I'm
women were
saying.
like,
So,
hold on,
it doesn't have to be on Twitter.
hold on. He literally
Okay,
before
fair.
any of this,
That's fair.
before any of that shit came out, he gave a speech at what was it, State of the Union, 2 years ago, after that girl was raped to death, and like over there on like in one of the campuses. Do you remember this? By an illegal alien. By an illegal.
Is this Lincoln Riley?
Yeah, Laken Riley. Y'all remember this? That was a big thing. You think that was cause of Renee Good's death? That's probably more of a cause than Nick Shirley going.
He said they were going to stop.
You're just trying to discredit. You're just trying to discredit Trump's actual words.
Nick Shirley's already discredited. You don't have to worry about.
Well, hold on. You would have to. You would have to.
Probably
everybody else saying he's right. Y'all just saying
yeah.
What's funny is the perma online people. The perma online.
I'm saying there is a direct cause and effect here. That happened.
No. Yeah, Laken Riley dying, those people dying.
Makes the video, right? It blows up conservative news. Trump sees it. He responds to that by sending in the ICE troops. Yeah, like those are direct corrections.
I think
I can. It's fine to say there are other things were involved. Sure, I'm talking about direct cause and effect.
Yeah. Also, by the way, Nick Shirley's not discredited. He's only discredited with like perma online people.
Yeah, but like, anyone who's
anybody that's like not anybody that's online. Bill Maher's MAGA now. Bill Maher just like giving him credit. So yeah, I guess Bill Maher's MAGA now.
Hey, have you considered one person? Have you considered this one guy?
No. What's funny is y'all do this dismissal thing.
To be fair, Bill Maher is more than just one guy.
Hold on,
he said Bill Maher.
This is the problem with what you're doing. Hold on, this is the problem with what y'all are doing right here. Y'all are going, oh, it's just MAGA. Then I say somebody else, and y'all go, oh, that's just one person. No. But you go, oh, it's just MAGA. No. What happens is you get in these online like groups, and you're like, oh, he's discredited. He's discredited when like millions and millions of people, not just in MAGA, but independent. No. Independents are going, oh, this guy's discovering a lot of shit. Billions and millions. Frankly, no, y'all just do this thing, and then you'll go, what happened? Why are they acting on this? I know you don't care, but it's like you'll go, oh, why is this happening? Why is this happening? Cool.
If
and then you go,
Shirley's right, but I'm saying that makes but
millions of people.
Trump directly responded to that. He sent people
because
to Minnesota because of this. Like in response to this, like processes come out and it led to the death of Alex.
Well, maybe don't fucking interrupt law enforcement when they're in the middle of an operation. You won't know.
There you go.
Just about however you want to. That's still Nick Shirley's fault, though.
Wait, no, it's 100% her own fault. She literally suicided by cop. That's her fault. That'd be like if I walked out with a gun to the cops and was like, "Hey, you won't do nothing." Like you, it's the same thing. It's her fault. 100% only her fault.
There's a huge issue with this.
But I don't want to talk about.
Can I respond? Can I respond?
100% her own fault.
Yeah, I want you to respond to that.
Yeah, I'm gonna respond.
I haven't given my point on the.
I know what it is though. Because I'm sorry.
What's my point? So it's all.
Hold on. I know your point about the Alex Petty Renee Good thing.
Oh, I wasn't. Okay, all right, fine.
That's what he wants to respond to.
That's what I want to respond to. Okay.
I want to respond. I want to talk about the other.
I feel like I'm the translator.
It's fine. It's fine. Go ahead.
Does anyone else feel that?
Sure. A little bit.
No, you don't have to translate. You don't have to do anything. Thank you.
No, wait. Hold on.
We haven't had that debate yet. So anyway. Okay, this is first of all, I agree with Gibbs with the Renee Good shooting being justified in the first place, but you could still make the argument, well, that it was still sad, and that never would have happened had ICE not been there, and because of the Nick Shirley, I think it's sad when people die. When the Nick Shirley video,
I would out dancing like they did, yes.
Okay. When the Nick Shirley, I got no response to that. When the Nick Shirley video came out, you could argue that like maybe this riled up conservatives led to like a direction of immigration officials to Minnesota, which then thus led to like kind of go down this domino list. You can do that. The problem though, if you want to go down that route, is it works so many other ways, many which are like I see this as like very unintuitive, but Gibbs is sort of right. You would have to argue then that Biden's policy at the border, despite the fact that he was warned that it would lead to massive increases in migration, the fact that he was not enforcing the border.
He's just going to say
blame Biden. Let me finish. Right. So when Biden was not enforcing the border, despite the fact he was warned what the effects would be if he didn't, that he is responsible for Laken Riley's death, that he is responsible for every rape that happened under an illegal immigrant that came into the country at the time. But we don't actually believe that because that's insane, right?
Why wouldn't we hold the president accountable for the things that happen?
See, exactly. I told you this is the wrong way to go.
I
told you.
I'm a Biden guy. I'm saying that I know Republicans love to not hold presidents have no responsibility or accountability for what happens in the country. But sure, Like,
the reason is because the reason is because policy
make it not a good thing.
No, the reason is because
policy. Biden made a positive reason, but there's actually just outcomes. There's
right. It's because policy. It's because policy decisions are like difficult. There's trade-offs, and generally, like when a president makes a policy decision,
difficult. Yeah.
Yes. When any politician makes a policy decision, the idea of like, oh, this led to some unintended consequence, which led to somebody's death. Am I going to personally hold that politician responsible? Like they are the killer? No, absolutely not.
Stop being fucking dishonest here. Stop being dishonest.
Again,
we're talking about he sees a news cycle, right, where this thing blows up, and then he says a militarized force into an area, and then that militarized force kills a person. Right? There aren't that many steps here, right? There aren't any logical steps. Yeah, I send armed men, right, into an area
to enforce the law.
And they're yes, sure, whatever. Doesn't matter. Hold on.
So anybody who sends cops into an area, then
when you send the police into an area, yes, that increases the chances that people are going to die. But like specifically, you send an armed man to do like police action,
untrained armed
violent police action against a population, right? That incites a response from the public that was completely foreseen, and then in that process, kill these people. Absolutely, you can directly make the connections. Don't pretend like that you.
Oh, I can make one. I can hold on.
Reasonable.
I can make one more connection. The only reason why Nick Shirley has so much traction on immigration is because Biden's border policy got people so angry about it. One step back. So Biden's responsible.
Lactoid, you're being stupid.
Keep blaming Biden.
He's being 100% correct.
No, wait, hold on. I agree with his point at large, but you're
blaming the Democrats thing, Lactoid, and it doesn't work.
I will never have a problem blaming Biden. I don't know why you think that's going to be an effective.
Lactoid, they genuinely they hear your point and they hear Biden and they just scream.
So once again,
I love Biden.
Excuse me.
I'm not a leftist.
Hey, shut up. Hey, shut up. Shut the fuck up. Thank you. What? I don't know why you think that's going to be an effective tactic against me. Right? So knock that shit off. We're talking about a direct correlation here, right? A direct series of events, right? Like that's completely foreseen. You send in no, you can't. Not when I'm talking. Shut the fuck up. Then afterwards you can't. I literally just started to shut up. And then you go, can I? No, you can't. Fair. Shut up. Hold on. In case you don't understand that. Thank you. Any which way. Yeah. This is one event after another. That's what we're talking about here, right? All steps directly foreseeable that people would die when you would send in these armed troops to take violent action. Yes.
Would it also lead people to die whenever crimes are being committed? Would that increase the likelihood? Because I'm pretty sure it would. And so, by sending the cops there to stop these criminals from committing more crimes, whether that's just be there existing illegally, you're going to lower the criminal behavior of the area. And if they kill one person, like Renee Good, who was clearly an evil individual who wanted to commit more crimes, then, I think that's going to lower more crime in the future. We don't have to worry about her protecting more illegal cartel members in perpetuity. I think that lowers the crime. So yeah, I think when we send militarized forces in there, we're gonna be doing all right. I think that's the secret.
That's why I said that crap we effed up, and then they dipped out of the entire city.
Okay, so here's my issue with this. I'm gonna grant Prime, and I think Bam is making the same argument. I'm gonna grant you guys a pretty big, I don't know what the hell to call it. Anyway, I'm going to grant you guys some big things.
Caveats.
You're going to concede.
I'm going to concede quite a bit. Okay.
There we go.
The first thing that I'm going to say is Donald Trump responsible for Alex Pretty's death? Almost undeniably. Okay. The way that essentially he set up the DHS, the way that he set up Kristi Noem, the way that he set up how ICE functions, the way that he specifically deliberately went into blue states, mostly just to target them because they were Democrats. There are a lot of things that I would point to that I would say Donald Trump is directly responsible for Alex Pretty. However, I think when we make analysis, when we look at the way that we assign faults to things, we usually see if whether or not it is it's expected that one thing will lead to the other. And I think that if I would look at Nick Shirley's video in Minnesota, I would say this certainly would not be expected to follow that that Donald Trump would see this and go, oh shit, we got to send ICE into these neighborhoods. Now, I have no fucking love with Nick Shirley. I fucking hate that guy. He lied about me in particular. He's a fucking psycho, but I don't think he's at fault for what happened to Nick Shirley. But I do find it kind of interesting that, yeah, technically it did lead to.
Why don't we like take responsibility for our shit that we do anymore? Like Peretti was clearly a militarized radical that like had already had previous.
Militarized?
Yeah, no. He literally had guns. He literally was attacking cops previously.
You have guns.
Yeah,
you have guns.
Hold on.
Yeah, true.
Militarized radicals are gun owners now. Militarized radicals are gun owners in America.
No, that's not what I'm saying. He was literally a militarized radical who was sitting here attacking cops. Like, listen, I'm going to say you have your right to your Second Amendment.
He attacked the cop hard. I wouldn't say he attacked the cop.
If I was sitting there going to say we're going to start being a Texas revolutionary, I'd be a militarized radical. I got guns. I'd be fighting for secession. I'd be but I'm not out there shooting cops or going out there and trying to interfere with active cases. If I went in there and I did one of those things, I would also be a militarized radical who deserves to be shot. Or maybe we kill them all and we get our state. One or the other. But this guy did that. Don't you play stupid games without preparation, win stupid prizes. Like, I would never go and do that because I'm not a dumbass.
I think there's a difference. I think there's a difference between like interfering with a police sighting and then interfering with like masked men running around playing Rambo 100%. And like snatching up people on the streets. 100%. I think those are two different things. I think if you're a guy in this country and you see like a woman being pushed on the floor and you don't really like approach the masked man who pushed the, that speaks to who we are. Like this is we're supposed to be defending our weakest here. We're not supposed to be just like rallying up for the police state. And yes, please put masks on them. No IDs. I don't want any badges. Let's just let whoever the fuck with. By the way, I know that there's training to be an ICE officer. It's like 9 to 12 weeks. I don't want to fucking hear that there's training to be an ICE officer.
It's complicated. I don't know if
it was Trump himself, or if it was Kristi Noem. Someone came out and essentially was giving them like, oh yeah, our officers have like they were creating immunity that didn't exist under the Constitution.
Yeah, fucking like, the day of Donald Trump says, hey, there's no guilt. Hey, he was actually in the hospital due to major crimes. We saw him fucking walking like nothing in the video. They want to give these guys immunity because they want them to feel powerful when they walk down the streets. And it's bullshit.
We still don't even know the names of the cops who shot Alex Brady. They like the government got them out of the state. We don't know who they are. Like, we never
know. Yeah. That's
like
true.
They did an internal investigation and they decided they were good.
Well, I would bet
the Dems are okay with internal investigations. Check out how they did the fraud in Minnesota.
Is this how you argue? You just fucking. It's just any other thing.
I'm just pointing out the
Dems though. But the Dems though.
No. You can't bitch about internal. Hold on, I bitch about internal investigations all the time, but you can't investigate. I also agree. I also agree they should have not done just an internal, should have been an external. But you can't bitch and say, "Oh, they did an internal one," when y'all don't bitch and y'all actually hold up Minnesota as the shining example of an internal investigation. Yes, y'all do. Hunter's already done it. Maybe you don't.
You argue with Ghost.
No. Hunter did that. Hunter did that multiple times. Hunter did that multiple times last time we brought up the fraud. I don't want to hear it didn't happen. You brought they did an internal investigation. Corey brought they did the fraud check in Minnesota.
You brought up a fact.
I brought up 2 facts. Y'all both did that, so don't say I'm arguing with Ghost. Hold on. You two both did that shit, and that was people here, guys. Usually, because Prime or Bam didn't do it doesn't mean there's not 2 other people on the left here in the room.
Usually, I get so annoyed by people like
because Ali.
Prime and Ali for going, just fuck the Democrats. I understand that so fucking much when I argue with every fucking person who defends Donald Trump and they just go, whoa, but what about the Democrats? I get why you just go, yeah, fuck the Democrats, because you guys can't take accountability for your administration. You just throw it to any other thing that you could see in the room. And it is exhausting. Take credit for the administration in the room.
I just want to know. I just want to know. Like, do we not believe in the concept of state crimes anymore? Because a state crime is an investigation, I guess, internally as broad as an entire state. Like, there's people of different political affiliations within the state. Like, I understand one organization can't do everything via internal investigation, but I believe a state can. I think that you're able to find somebody who has a different, like, unbiased investigate a specific case within a state. I don't think that's
Hunter,
fraud.
Yeah.
I truly believe that like politicians essentially are like our slaves, right? They should be our servants, right?
Oh, 100%.
And they should be begging on their knees for votes, right? They should literally be crawling and begging for votes. So when the elected politicians and the officials and all that don't do my bidding, I'm just going to throw them under the bus because they can eat my dick.
I'm with you.
They're not doing their job, which is to grovel at their knees at my feet.
I'm totally with you.
Is really my point. That's it.
I think.
Why would I take credit for them? Fuck the Dems. Fuck anyone who isn't doing my bidding.
Totally. I think largely speaking, the Dems are doing a better job than you think they are. But I agree with this motivation in principle.
So they're not. Ollie's right. They never do.
I know. I'm the.
I'll respond to this,
one
but then
out
I'll
of
go get more
7
sushi.
Here.
You're not. I am a Democrat.
Oh, hell yeah. Sorry, Bam. I apologize.
Sorry. So
2 out of 7.
To Hunter and Latchwood, but we'll let Latchwood respond first, and then Hunter can respond after he likes. Hunter started off. This is a while ago. This is what I wanted to get to. Talking about like context in terms of violent crimes, right? Like, and yes, of course, right. What he was saying was correct in terms of like, hey, there are some people who are like more dangerous than others in terms of like committing violence, right? We can recognize that. We can recognize the context, right? Like it's a guy who comes home, shoots, the guy fucking his wife, right? That's different from a psycho who takes a Tommy gun. I don't know what to call it. And then like mows down a Tommy gun, mows down a crowd.
A mobster
right?
from the 70s. That's the
yes, not in the 70s. I think it's even older than that.
Probably
50s. Tommy gun.
No, it's like the 20s. This is like yeah. Anyway, sorry. So the point is understood, right? And I understand how we treat this within our country, right? Like what Lactoid was saying previously is yes, how we look at it. We say that we generally scale violent crime to be more destructive than with financial crimes, right? But like literally, and this is what bothers me a lot, right? About like you saying otherwise. Because like that was the one thing that I could grab onto when you told me, hey, taxes theft years ago, right? Yeah. I gave lots of pushback on that, but the one thing that I got right is how that like the property crimes, right, can damage individuals, right? Like can ruin their lives, right? For the and the Great Recession, right? Like for the housing crisis, crime of the fucking century. Time of the century, the amount of wealth that was stolen there, right, into private hands, that ruined lives, and then no one goes to jail. So like it seems incongruous. I'm just gonna leave it there, right? Don't use stronger language. It seems incongruous that now you're telling me, well, yeah, violent crime is more pernicious and like needs to be punished more. I can get again. I understand what you're saying. That like one person is probably less of a danger to the public. What I'm talking about, maybe this is where our disconnect is, and after this, I'll let you go. My disconnect is yes, the one might be a danger. The violent individual might be more of an immediate danger. Understood, right? But I think part of our justice system, which it seems to be the case, is like retribution. I think the amount of retribution for a guy who's destroyed thousands of lives through his financial crimes, right, through that theft, right, like that should outweigh anything. Many things that are many violent crimes, and so it should be punished accordingly. So I'll let you go.
Yeah, I think that's maybe that is where our disconnect is. For me personally, the retributive element of corrections is my least important. It's the least important element to me because it doesn't accomplish anything. I'm looking for results in society. I'm not looking for just like that feels bad. We gotta get him. It's not really it. Like I'm fully in now. I am in favor of stricter penalties for pretty much most crimes, except for the crimes I don't think should be crimes. So like marijuana possession, prostitution, stuff like that. But when it comes to things that I think should be crimes, like violent assault, murder, tax, or not, I guess, ideally we go after the IRS agents, but we can't do that. The people who steal from other people, right? I mean, all of these people would be punished more. But I'm just saying that, like, when we're looking at the psychology of the criminal, right? There's a whole field in this criminology, right? The psychology of the criminal. what motivates criminals? How do they behave? How do we stop them? How do we change them? How do we fix them? White collar criminals are a problem, and they need to get punished, and they need to get punished more than they do. When I brought up the 1 year thing, I think that's ridiculous. 1 year, should get way more than 1 year. White collar criminals generally should get more time than they do. But I'm just saying that when you compare this to violent crime, like, to me, violent crime is also underpunished. I think violent crime is horrific. I think that it indicates a complete sickness of the mind, some of these crimes that people do. The idea that you can, shoot somebody and then potentially, shoot somebody in the face as an adult and then, potentially be able to walk around free one day. It's crazy. That's crazy. So I think.
I mean, I agree. I agree on that. Like,
yeah. So I'm not trying. Like, when I'm saying that violent crime is worse, I'm not trying to minimize how bad white collar crime is. I think it is really bad. I just think that I think there's my problem, and I've talked about this before. We can help most of the crimes committed by I think there was I think it was 40 some percent, maybe a little bit less than 40% of crimes committed by people with 14 convictions or more or prior. I'll think of the exact graph. But generally
extremely a lot of repeat offenders. Yeah.
There's a cohort of repeat offenders that are dramatically disproportionately involved in crime, usually psychopathic, some kind of problem, and we just shouldn't have this problem. They should be in a cage. That's how we solve the problem.
I won't push back. I think our big disconnect is retribution, honestly, and maybe Hunter. Maybe you feel the same as Lactoid.
I'll throw in some clarification. I think one of the big things that I'm looking for when it comes to prison, I'm largely concerned with how many people we have in prison. I think that it's insane in America how many incarcerated people we have. I'm very much interested in rehabilitation and bringing people back into society. I think that largely speaking, sure, these psychopaths for sure maybe should be in jail, but I also think I don't know. I just want to focus on rehabilitation, and I do think that if you have a mentality where you can shoot someone in the face with a gun, it is very, 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 very much harder to get you back into society than someone who's scammed millions of people. And I just want to say, wait, hold on, real quick. I want to acknowledge the damage that they've done. I want to be able to they should be able to do some restitution and probably be taxed the fuck out of for the rest of their life. They probably should not be able to work anything basically ever, and they get taxed the fuck out of to just repay the families that got done. I don't know. I'm thinking about ways to do this, and I also think that they should be jailed for 20 years. I don't know.
So you're not in favor of that judge that went viral this week for giving that guy 96 consecutive life sentences, and yet it's going to take him 200 years to be viral for. I don't know. The viral video, they haven't released cases, but it's allegedly for serious crimes.
Sometimes you got to do that. I have to acknowledge.
The judge said he didn't have to do that, but fuck it. That's exactly.
I don't know. I'm curious what makes, and this is something I've always thought about. What makes the United States unique? Like, we already lock up more people for longer periods of time than anywhere else on earth. And when we come to the conclusion we're not locking.
But North Korea's got people's kids in there for sins their father committed. You think we lock them in there longer than North Korea?
I'm sorry, North Korea. maybe North Korea. Yeah. That's our beacon of excellence.
I don't think
we got one ahead of us at least.
I think one.
That means you're in second place. You want to be first in everything.
We got to fix that.
One, they're murdered if they speak out, and two, they don't speak out because they're indoctrinated not to. I do think we probably beat North Korea in terms of incarceration rates. I think we're number one.
But they keep their families and the kids.
I'm just speaking.
That's my understanding too.
It's the idea of violence, etc. Whatever you want to look at across the board, the United States is worse at it. But we lock up the most people, but we still believe that this must be the right way. We're just not locking them up hard enough. We just lock them up a little harder. Eventually, we'll catch up to every other country on earth. That does something different. And I'm I don't know.
Lock up more people at higher rates than these other countries will be as good as those other countries somehow.
Because some people say
locking people up works. I mean, it just
so I have the stats. By the way, if anyone's interested.
Okay.
We are 5th in terms of rate. We're number 1 in terms of number. So I don't know
total
exactly
population and prison population.
What's our recidivism rate of people going
Who are the
back?
top 4?
I don't know. I'm not looking at that, but I will
No,
say
I'm
that
asking Lactoid because he's saying locking people up works.
if anyone's curious about
Well, I'll
224th,
explain that in a second.
it's North Korea because they have a question mark next to it. We have
Nice.
what the hell is going on here.
I guess they don't arrest anybody. See,
I guess so.
we don't have a source, so we can't say either way. We can't use intuition. That would be bad in online debating. We can't do that.
If there wasn't a debate panel, if
all the
North
time.
Korea wasn't a debate panel, then we couldn't prove it. Okay.
Number 1 in terms of rate, I think most people could probably guess this. It's El Salvador, and that's probably recent numbers.
That's
El Salvador is way. Oh, in terms of arrest, prison, for sure. And what happened to the crime in their country?
I think we talked about this before, that it certainly you probably need to incarcerate more based off of violent rates, and it's not just like a strictly linear case in which you incarcerate more people and then violent rates go down.
Well, Lactoid just thinks like if
that is what happens. You incarcerate people and the rates go down.
Other countries, but you have to incarcerate them indefinitely, because what's the recidivism rate of people that you let out, right?
So you actually don't. So
you don't what?
You don't have to keep them indefinitely. So the big
18-year-olds
recidivism
really
rehabilitation.
They're 30. They'll be
rehabilitation
that affects recidivism.
Yeah. Rehabilitation is like one of the factors that we've been talking about, but another factor is incapacitation, and the incapacitation is actually extraordinarily effective at removing crime. Simply putting the person who does the crime away from all the rest of us. Yeah, and it is also true, as somebody just mentioned, that people do tend to age out of crime. In terms of is there still going to be crime? For sure, but people tend to commit crime really mostly between the ages of like 18 and 20.
There's a huge survivorship bias here. I just want to say there's a survivorship bias with these stats. They're not necessarily aging out of crimes. It is possible they're just dying more frequently at these ages.
It's possible, but if we're looking at the actual age range at 26, I'm not convinced that the mortality rate is so high amongst this group of people at 26 that it would explain why there's such a massive crime.
It could be a factor.
I mean, there's a
I think a big reason
people get out, get families, or
they get out, they get families.
Lots of reasons.
Their frontal lobes develop a little bit more. I mean, that's a big thing, right? Really, that really starts kind of like really finalizing in your early 30s.
I'm not doubting that
most of it's done.
Why don't we just heavily
also testosterone
monitor?
drops? That's another thing.
How about everyone who's 18 to 26 in America? You have to wear a body cam for those ages. You know, that'll reduce crime to 0, I think. If everyone has to wear a body cam between the age of 18 to 20,
this was
18 to 26,
this was the plot of this has been similar to this. There's been several plot lines of several movies that have theorized about this.
You're talking about libertarian.
That's where your thinking leads.
What if we just treated people
eventually like you're thinking of like, well, yeah, if we remove the criminals, if we put everyone in jail from
just criminal island, and then they can come back when they're 26.
No, if you commit a crime at 18, you go to jail until you're 28. That's it. You just go to 10 year minimum, everyone, and then there are going to be no criminals, but like. What are you saying?
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that people, like, even if you put somebody in prison for like 4 or 5 years during this time period, that's 4 or 5 years of their peak crime committing time, not committing crimes out in society. I'm saying that this is like an explanation of why incapacitation works, and specifically in response to your point, no, you don't have to have it go on forever. You can get rid of most of the crime if we just think about, well, for some of these crimes, like, I'm talking about like minor violent crimes, maybe it makes sense for a few years, if you have a 19-year-old that like beats the shit out of somebody, maybe 4 or 5 years would do this person good. But honestly, when it comes to people like murdering or
what's the good,
violent rapists or something, I actually agree that we probably should never let this person.
Sure, but on the risk here is too high. Crimes, because on the minor crimes is where it's going to affect people more, and we're going to realize that like putting people in jail for 4 to 5 years actually doesn't make it better, right? Because after 4 or 5 years of being in jail from 19 to 24, you're probably going to come out a little bit hardened. You're not going to come out necessarily like ready to just join society. Also, society isn't ready for you to join. They're not going to allow you to. You have a criminal record. You've been incarcerated, so getting a job is so like probably so you were releasing them in peak male years to like do their crime, so then actually the thinking would be like, well, no, if you commit the small crime when you're 19, we should keep you for 10 years because then you're actually aged out. Because once again, what's the recidivism rate of like people getting out of jail and going back to jail?
All of society is a balance between like the severity of the punishment and the benefits of society. So, if you're a super hardcore, like I want to minimize crime as much as possible, you probably could justify you commit a crime anywhere between 18 and 25.
You don't tackle the reasons that crime is committed, right? You just tackle the crime and react to it.
I will also say that developing a low trust society is probably bad for crime as well. If you encourage the sort of like police state attitude, people will become more paranoid, which will lead to more crime. Or
that's kind of what I'm saying.
I don't know if that's true. El Salvador has a shitty police state right now.
Why crimes happen, we react
and North Korea has a question mark.
No, I'm saying
they're a police society.
I brought this.
I would probably say
doing all the wrong things. Like the conversation isn't about trying to figure this out, like solving it. Like because I don't know. It's like an American arrogance. Crime. I'm just talking about the America does something. And other countries don't have this problem, and it's not even like a racial thing because it's like, oh, it's black people here. Africa doesn't have these levels of violent crime as the United States. Well, depending on the country and the city. So it's like, what makes the United States, who locks up more people, why are we bad at crime?
Just to keep in mind, though, I mean, a lot of African crime.
Hold on, I know you're not sitting here trying to use Africa as an example. Whenever, like, the Rwanda didn't have
Africa is pretty low.
Rwanda didn't have very much violent crime. They just had a genocide. Not that much violent crime.
How big is Rwanda in comparison to Africa?
Well, it's one a major country. It's also probably the most strong.
That's like saying a state has a problem.
Okay, cool. So why don't you pick Nigeria then when they're fighting Boko Haram and 6 other countries were fighting Boko Haram?
I mean, I don't know. Is America Minnesota? Is America New York?
Hold on. They didn't have very much violent crime, but 6 countries were fighting a terrorist organization that was whooping their ass. And you get to use this argument like it's like a state, but that's a dumbass. Why would I? Okay, Russia.
It's not a dumbass.
Russia has a smaller population, but they're bigger than us. I think what is it? Canada. They have a bigger land than we do. Population.
Yeah, they have
China,
more land.
but like this is dumb. Like what you're arguing. Oh, like if you're gonna just pick any state, then we can't argue any country smaller than the U.S.
If you're gonna pick 6 countries out of I don't know how many countries are in Africa, but out of an entire continent, how many countries in the continent operates in this way?
I already named 7 different. There's 7 different ones involved in 2 different conflicts. How about we pick the Great African War then, which involved like 14 countries?
Wait, hold on. Wait.
Because they're committing war. Like,
hold on. I just want to point out.
Causing rebellions and shit. It's like you can't use Africa as an example.
I just want to point out. The biggest country in Africa, Nigeria, has a significantly higher intentional homicide rate than America does. So does South Africa.
Wait, higher. Say that one more time.
Wait, higher what?
Intentional crime rate, you said?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. Intentional homicide rate. So
wait, sorry.
The highest is the Turks.
Highest?
No. In terms of intentional homicide, here's the list. So the highest is the Turks and Caicos Islands.
Makes sense.
I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that. Then St. Kitts, then St. Vincent, and the Grenadines, then the Virgin Islands, then Jamaica, Ecuador, South Africa, Haiti, Trinidad, St. Lucia, Lesotho, Bahamas, Honduras, Anguilla, Belize, Dominica, St. Martin, Colombia, Mexico, Guatemala, Brazil. It's a while, by the way, before I get to America. Guyana, Costa Rica, Curacao, Nigeria, Eritrea. Basically, you got to get all the way down to 65 before you get to America.
That is higher than average.
Yeah. I mean, there's more people die from not having an air conditioner in Europe than they die from gun violence in the U.S. So, really,
we are higher than. Hold on, I just want to point out though, we are higher than
Fuck
Rwanda.
you for knowing that stat.
I just want to point that out.
What are we talking about, really?
I hate to be the math nerd here, but there is.
I'm like I said, I'll have to look up what that definition means, but also outside of that, compared to every other first world country, again, you think that we're doing it the best way possible. No, what we're doing works the best.
I really
up everybody.
I'm going to be the math nerd here and say that largely speaking, whenever we're looking at rate, small population countries are going to be weighted towards the top or the bottom, and high population countries are going to be weighted towards the middle. I can explain why if you want. This is largely because if one person murders someone in a small, tiny ass country, that's going to drastically change where specifically they're located. So if you look at any intentional, like any sort of rating system, small countries are largely going to be moved towards the top or the bottom.
Also, I want to say something to the chat.
It's part of the conversation. There's not a perfect way to do any of this.
XNF. You said something here, and I just want to point out fact checking, not hard. Listen, the Sackler family, the opioid epidemic was 450,000 to 480, right? Boko Haram alone, just in the areas, 300,000 child deaths. That's 2.8 million people displaced. That's not even counting adult deaths. We don't even know how many there.
It'll kick in any moment.
You're just wrong again, bitch. Wrong again. Liberals don't know facts.
Gibbs is always right.
Wrong again.
Actually, I'm about to say, Hunter.
Donald been wrong. Name one time that Gibbs has been wrong.
I think Hunter. It was. I heard
Gibbs wrong.
Never happened this century.
He's never been.
It's because I'm a prophet, bro.
I got you, Gibbs. You were super crazy. You're crazy. Good, right? Hunter. I heard a comedian talking about a joke that was that spoke to what you were talking about. It was like saying, like, how many people did it take for us to get our first murder? And it was like 4, if you believe in the Bible. It was like Adam and Eve, and then Cain and Abel. And it's like 25% of he killed off 25% of the population. It's like,
right.
we got the.
He's going to be highest.
We started killing motherfuckers
very quickly. But then if Cain didn't, then he would be 0. It would be at the bottom with 0%.
That's what hold on. That's what I was going to point out. Like the point you made, Hunter, is true. If we're talking about very small sample sizes, like there could be a sample error sometimes, but I mean, we're talking about relatively large countries. Like Nigeria is massive.
Didn't you say Lesotho
right?
there?
Yeah, Lesotho I still think has like a lot of people.
Isn't
it's small geographically, but like in terms of number of people.
No. He's talking about population wise.
Yeah. I think Lesotho.
No. But I might just be saying Lesotho because it's so tiny on the map. I don't know what their population is.
Let me see what their population is. Actually,
it could be the bias of me looking at the map.
Yeah, their population is 2.4 million people.
Okay.
That's pretty small, though. That's a small country.
Population.
That's a small country.
That is definitely big enough, though, to get like for statistics.
How many Michigan has a population of 7 million people.
Oh, so Boko Haram basically
and we can measure crime and
displaced more people than the country. You know, I got it. Let's see. Mm-hmm. And like
I think
I feel like we're not going to
worthwhile.
Keeping that in mind.
It's a worthwhile lens to view whenever you look at stats via country, that it's going to be biased in that way. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't even brought in small countries. I should have brought it to like G1 first world type countries.
I want to say one more thing about this, but people can respond afterwards. If not, we can just move on. But back to the violent crime versus a white collar crime type thing. So one, I have no problem saying that I favor retributive justice. Not that like I do so exclusively, right? I want people to be rehabilitated, and I want them to be integrated into society afterwards. I would like to put in a lot of like programs in place to help them and to lower discrimination against them. But that's when they get out. I think beyond like the retribution, or maybe complementing that, I guess, right? It's simply a sense of justice. Like that's part of like the justice system, like the court system, is to provide the population with a sense of justice. It's extremely important, right? To make them believe that like the country can handle disputes, like even like disputes between parties, and punish criminals, right? It has an extremely important part of society, because if society doesn't believe that's the case, right? Well, then you radicalize people that way, and they find out ways to do it themselves, right? So the court systems are incredibly important for that. And so, right, as part of this, like looking at how these people who've done like extraordinary damage. So I've been talking about financial crimes this entire time, but also we could talk about like environmental crimes, right? Like our company, the board like votes to poison a neighborhood, right? Poison the environment by because to save a little bit of money. Well, let's just like allow this chemical runoff to go into a stream or something, right? And cancer rates skyrocket or some shit like that, right? Like that's all part of it. But in when we see these things happen, these people either don't go to jail at all, right? Or they send someone low level to go to jail. Only like one person went to jail for the 2008 financial crisis, if I remember correctly. Or like if anyone does go to jail, then they go for a very small amount of time. Part of it has to be a sense of justice, right? Because like we saw that with the 2008 financial crisis. That was a radicalizing moment, okay, right? So conservatives will know that, right? Because after this, there was like the Occupy movement, right? That was a direct response to the Great Recession, right? That was a radicalizing moment, and we still see like the echoes of that today from those decisions. So I'm saying, like, especially to my friends who don't like radicals, right? I'm fine with radicals.
Is that me?
Who don't like radicals? Yeah, like who institutionalists, right? Who don't like populism, right? If you don't like that, well, then having people feel that justice is being served for those who do immense damage, right, for financial crimes or other like white collar type of crimes, right? That's the path. So yes, yeah, the executive you might be able to safely release them into a community afterwards, right? But he shouldn't be there. No, he's done too much destruction. Actually, he should be in jail for the rest of his life as a warning to the others. Yes, and to soothe the community. Sorry.
I guess I was called out. I don't disagree with really anything
Did I call
you said.
You out? I don't think I called you out.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, but
no,
you can still respond.
No, that's fair. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to.
It was kind of directed to both of us. You said so.
Yeah, but maybe it wasn't a call out. Maybe it was just in response.
Yeah.
I agree with your outcomes. I don't know if I agree with your mentality though, but I do think that we should have locked more people up after the recession, after the financial destitution that happened. The fact that no one got jailed was insane, and I think that we should see more crime rates. I don't think that it's necessarily because of this. Like, we just need to feel like something is being done. I don't know if that's a helpful belief, but I do think, I don't know, maybe it's helpful to some degree, actually. Maybe
in the face of feeling like nothing is being done.
Yeah, right? I hear that. I definitely think that is maybe should be part of the conversation. I think maybe I'm overemphasizing something like rehabilitation because it's often underemphasized. But I do think that it's true that feeling like there is a sense of justice in the world probably does matter to some degree.
Yeah, I mean, you can see this in a more direct manner in terms of like if you like the community knows or thinks it knows that like some guy who murdered kids, right, like got off scot-free, right? There's a heightened chance that someone in that community or a group of people in that community will take action, right, if they feel like the law can't do so. Not saying that's necessarily correct, but I'm saying like that's what happens when communities feel justice isn't happening. Now,
I agree.
In terms of white collar crime, it's more diffuse and it's harder to like gather people to do that, but it does explode. Occupy Wall Street was exactly that. It wasn't violent, but like it radicalized people. And I'm saying if you don't like radicals, like put these people in fucking jail.
Wait, hold on. I want to say I don't think I hate radicals nearly as much as you think I do. I think I'm very aware that people are so populist because the system has largely failed them. I think I usually take a place after the fact to say I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but I do want to say before the fact, this system has absolutely fucked a number of people. A lot of people lost their homes, lost their jobs, and ultimately probably died due to what happened in 2008. And I find that horrific. I mean, unemployment.
You know why you don't want to throw it out with the bathwater? It's because you're a handmaid.
Because I'm a fucking exactly.
Can I?
Fascism. Wash the hands of fascists.
That's why I like Gibbs so much, and I never argue with him.
Well,
so I think
I'm not a fascist, but sure.
I think that people just a very quick caveat. I would agree with you that I think populism is increasing because people feel as though the system has failed them. I just think a lot of that is not true. I don't think the system has failed a lot of the people who think it has, and that's kind of backed by a lot of the graphs we went over last time we were here.
It's about housing,
but
we just talked about housing.
Where do you think that feeling is coming from?
Housing, median income. I think that media makes money by making people feel as though something bad is happening.
No.
People tend to be more attracted and more interested in negative media than positive media. It's not, nobody gives a fuck in comparative wise if like a news story runs about how yeah, actually, the numbers show that you are wealthier and you are better off. Everyone's going to say, you know, they're going to
their
not care.
experience doesn't show that.
Yeah, they're either going to not care, or the ones that don't fall into that category, they're going to say, well, that's bullshit. And then when the media comes out with something saying, well, no, actually, this is terrible. Oh, of course, you know, then they're going to agree with that, right? Because personal bias. You know, it's very similar. It reminds me very much of, I think there was a Republican lawmaker who walked into Congress one time, and they were having a hearing on climate change. And he said, "Hey, Speaker," and he threw him a snowball, and he said, "Here's your climate change. How could there be climate change if it's snow outside?" I think this is the mentality that poor people approach society with, actually.
Well, no. I think
anyway,
you think poor people
I think that people hold a responsibility. Like, I think people hold people.
Was that snowball thrower poor?
To the things they say. Whenever
definitely
Trump,
and defeated
runs on an idea, if he's going to show up on day one, and
your theory doesn't hold.
He tells day after day that he's going to bring prices down, that everything is going to get cheaper, and then we're going back to 2020 prices and or whatever. And then he gets in, and what actually happens is in economics is like prices don't actually go down after they come up. You can slow the rate of increase. You can slow and decrease inflation. We're not going to run into deflation unless you have like an economic downturn. So you can try to blame poor people, but the politicians literally set the tone.
They played at poor people.
Disappointment.
Yeah. And I understand politicians absolutely play to poor people because their vote is really the only asset they have.
I will say there's a you guys are kind of both right in this sense, because I would largely say that politicians who are speaking truth, like, hey, prices aren't going to come down. If we want prices to come down, if we want deflation, that would be bad for the economy. We could do that. We don't want to do that. If a politician goes up and says that, they're not going to get voted for. They're not going to go into Congress.
Well, no, you just have to talk about everyone's position of growth.
Like, this is why poll exams will help everything.
We need to work on raising wages, which is actually kind of, I'm not even a Bernie guy, but that's what Bernie ran on. Bernie didn't run on like, oh, we're going to make everything cheaper. He says that like we're going to try to get wages up, which is how you have to attack.
I agree. There's probably I'm just saying there's probably this there's a natural inclination.
There's sloganism. There's an issue of sloganing. You can't tell all the niche and nuance. I understand that, but like the broad idea that you sell has to be at least somewhat in the right direction.
I fully agree that Donald Trump lied much more because he talked about prices going down than like someone like I don't know, Bernie Sanders, who was a lot more realistic, where he was like, hey, I want Medicare for all, but this will have taxes go up. Like, I think he was
Donald Trump is a known liar. That's true. Lactoid, go ahead. You want to say something? Let's give him
that was the first point I wanted to make. The second point I wanted to make is that Prime, I empathize. I understand what you're saying, and for the very reason that you gave of like the sense of like community stability. The reason why I said retributive justice for me is the lowest rung of the interest of justice that I have. It's not irrelevant, right? It does. I still factor it in because you're absolutely right. If the community in general is like, well, this is complete bullshit, I'm just going to ignore this. That's not conducive to like a functioning society either. So I do think that you have to factor in like the sense of justice associated when it comes to this kind of thing. For me, it's just less important though than the sort of math behind, well, how safe is it really to let this person out compared to keep them locked up?
What's funny is you're still using that calculus though, right? You're like, well, if I consider,
I'm still using the calculus. Yeah. Exactly. But the calculus is I'm more calculating for like how the society will react as opposed to me, the ultimate calculating man, would react, of course.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and by the way, another thing. This is actually politicians playing to the lowest common denominator. I think is a problem that would be alleviated with poll exams, right? If we limited the voting base to like a higher
owning white men,
intellectual quality of person, then I think you're going to have politicians no longer have to waste their time by courting lower.
Do you feel like
politically quality group of people?
Do you feel like maybe? And like, I hate using the historical example because I'm sure that you're just going to say, well, I'm not going to do it that way.
Yeah, we'll just do it better. We'll do it better. I know exactly what we're going to say. We're going to do it better.
Yeah,
we're going to get it right. We're going to get it right this time.
I totally hear you
this time.
But like, are you ever worried at all that like you could just change it state to state? Or
we threw the baby out with the bathwater with that one. Polling exams have never been actually declared unconstitutional. Racially discriminatory polling exams have, which I think is very fair. My idea of a polling exam would be it would need to be some kind of uniform system in which everybody gets the same test within the polity,
Give me some
whether it be federal or state. and everybody needs to demonstrate a sufficient level of political knowledge in order for their vote to count. And then we can further modify how much their vote counts by their IQ, which is we already have tests for that, so that's not going to be
so taxation without representation. That sounds good. That sounds like a good.
I don't think there would ever be.
Poor people don't pay taxes. What are you talking? Yeah, Jesus.
Like, what do you mean they don't pay taxes? Wait. Poor people pay taxes.
No,
largely speaking, they're more recipients.
Wait,
I don't want to be that guy, honest but when you're purchasing things, there's a tax on what you're purchasing. They are paying taxes,
but they're also getting that back in Medicare.
Yeah, they're getting that back in services, and more on top of that, their tax refund is going to be large enough to outweigh that.
Hold on, I'm for the system, but that is the way the system exists.
Yeah.
I know that you would stick to, like, I know that you say this principally. But I want to see if you would honestly say which party do you think would be more negatively impacted by that today?
I think the Democrats would. And here's the thing: I know you disagree. I know.
I'm just talking about like college education. Like
no. My response is: look, if you guys think that'll politically benefit you, let's just do it.
I think
let's team up. Let's team up on this because hey.
No,
I know I'm right.
Why do you actually think it would hurt Democrats? Like based on what?
Have you seen Democrats?
I've seen based on I've looked.
I've dived. Party affiliation is largely associated with.
I think that we should. You said like
I've dived into
this. Would you be okay, Dan, if we just did like landowning men, like of any race?
Landowning white men.
No, only landowning landowners in general.
Look, as a landowner, I wouldn't be opposed. Personally,
you would be opposed.
No, hold on. On a personal level, but politically, I think that doing it based on intelligence.
Would you be okay with it, Dan? Would you like that? Like any landowner, any gender, would that be okay with you?
That's so
any landowner.
That's
like landowner. Yeah, if you're a penguin and you own land, like would that be okay? Like,
how would you own land as a penguin? Walk me through that.
Well, you identify as your gender as a penguin.
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
because we just redefined the word to mean that. So
yeah, and I mean, and if you're okay with that, can we also change it to like directly how many acres you get? It gives you more votes. So if you have like 2 acres, you get 2 votes. Like 100,000 acres, you get 100.
Yeah, I think you have an interest.
BlackRock.
I don't have any
control the government.
No, they're not. Well, they are
Israel.
Really, people.
We really do live in a Zog when we think about it, don't we?
Wait, so Lactoid, you would administer an IQ test to like every eligible voter?
Yeah,
a full IQ test.
Yeah,
that is paid for by the government.
Do you ever worry that like?
Do you know how?
If you have the IQ test,
you know how long it takes to like do an IQ test.
You would pair it with like of course we'd have voter ID, and whenever you went to go get your driver's license or voter ID, which if you choose not to do it, then you just don't get to vote. Sorry, but if you choose to go get one of the two, then part of that process is of a IQ test. And IQ generally like could change very slightly over time, but it generally doesn't. So I mean, we wouldn't need to test you every time you voted.
What?
We really only need to test you like.
You know, this is like a multi-hour like test.
No, I think per person.
Wait, but what if I wanted to up my score? Because you said like the higher you get,
you can't. I mean, you can't really affect your IQ all that much through study.
If you could study for it and get like I think 5 to 10 points higher.
I think if we're talking about verbal IQ potentially, but I'm not even including that. I would just have like a spatial IQ test specifically.
I think that's what I looked into.
So you're not doing then a full IQ test then. A full
IQ test. The problem with verbal is verbal actually does have a knowledge base. Unlike spatial, verbal does actually have a knowledge base, which and specifically language base, which I can see the argument there about like how that could just inherently disfavor certain communities.
Okay, here's the real question.
Much more
What's the cutoff? What's the cutoff? Are we going 80? Are we going 90? We going 100?
He's not doing an IQ test.
No, I am. I'm doing an IQ test as Mensa.
Whatever.
As Mensa takes an IQ test. They only factor in spatial.
That's made up. Mensa's not any sort of like official.
Fine.
Like
we will make them the official. They'll be the official people. They're gonna run it. That's what we're gonna do.
So says Lactoid TV.
Boom. So says Lactoid TV. And then to answer the question of where's the cutoff.
Yeah.
You missed what I said. So the IQ would be a modifier. So how it would work is you would go in to get your base, like your driver's license, right? And there's like this hidden database that has your like IQ. Actually, I'm not even sure you would need to hide the IQ part.
Just how dumb you got to be. Just answer how dumb you.
If you're 50, okay. If you are 70 IQ, but for some reason you're able to pass the step 1 of the voter test, like the political, the civics knowledge portion of it, then you can vote, but your vote's only going to count 0.7.
But does that, if you're 80, does it count 0.8?
Yeah, I think my landowning idea is about equivalent.
And then let's say you have 150. Yeah, if you have 150 IQ, then your vote counts 1.5 times. And so it's like weighted. It's weighted towards the higher.
So the average person has 1.
Yeah, the average person has 1 vote. Exactly. The average person has 1 vote, roughly. But remember, in order to vote, you also need to pass a civics test. And if you don't pass that, then your vote just doesn't count.
It's actually not true. But the average person would not get 1 vote because
like 9 something.
No, it would go over because the tail end of the lower end would not vote, but the tail end of the higher end would. So you're actually cutting off.
Oh, that's smart. That's true.
So
see, if I was higher IQ, if my vote counted more, I'd think of that. Right?
Exactly. But
back to landowning. Back to landowning.
As a Democrat, I understand spatial reasoning.
But now, bad example. Libertarians have the highest IQ, right, Corey?
No.
I'll show you studies on this. I actually am right.
I'll show you studies that were implemented by the Cato Institute.
Full IQ. I'm not talking about any.
The most reliable of all institutes.
Full IQ test.
Of course.
Yeah. I remember I just recently had this debate because some smug liberal was saying, "Oh, Democrats, we got the most college degrees and we're the smartest." And I said, "No, libertarians have the most college degrees and are the smartest, despite being right wing. We are a kind of outlier when it comes to that."
Well, no. But they're a subset of conservatives.
That's why libertarians only have 1% of the vote.
I would agree that they're.
I need you to recognize that most conservatives are pretty stupid when it comes to these studies.
I've seen.
They just did like a brain.
I'm confident. I've seen a couple meta-analyses on this. I'm confident.
Hold on. Libertarians are the outlier of the group, which means
you're not wrong. Yes, you're not wrong that among right wingers.
Say it.
I'm getting there. Among right wingers,
say to Gibbs too. Look at him.
Low IQ.
So right wingers and left wingers can basically be split into 2 groups, right? Right wingers, the more financially laissez-faire, more neocon kind of element of the right wing tends to have higher IQ. The more populist, the more homophobic, the more like generally socially conservative part of the right wing,
religious conservative.
Religious conservatives tends to have lower IQ. That is just factually the case. On the left, the more like laissez-faire neoliberals tend to have the higher IQ, and then the more populist, communist, socialists tend to have the lower IQ. This is just true. I'm sorry.
Wait a minute.
I don't dispute that, but to make the claim that libertarians have the highest among all
all political designations,
you said. Depending on how you lactoid. You said, or maybe it was Scott. I could be wrong, but one of you said this. I know because I reacted.
We're both pretty smart libertarians. So.
Yeah.
Well, you're not a libertarian according to Scott.
But, that's right. I got the socialist idea.
Yeah, exactly. You're the communist. You're the lowest.
You told me no. He told me that it went like libertarians and then like socialists and then other people under that. You definitely said that. We definitely had this conversation.
Socialists are probably pretty
100% did that.
No.
To do all that pontificating, you got to be smart.
No.
Nah. Okay. Well, we'll look into
those socialist academics like Richard Wolff and those people, they literally just failed up the test of like why use many word, why use much word when small words are trick.
Richard Wolff is just
Hassan Piker's probably really smart,
So you think Hassan Piker's pretty smart?
Hassan Piker's not.
Hold on.
Oh, wait. You think Hassan Piker's pretty smart?
I just wanted to piss some people off.
I mean, he's rich, so he might be an exception, but like his audience is not smart.
I think that they're more intelligent than the average person. But
with exception to Doobie smart.
Let's please move on from this. That's fine. And I'd like to see those studies. But we'll move on.
Absolutely.
Cato Institute.
Cool with me.
God. But
I finally got a laugh out of Prime.
It's actually not from the Cato Institute, just to be clear. Although it'd be funny if it was.
That's an interesting interesting topic right there, Pride.
I just taxed your joke, okay?
Is kind of came up earlier when I brought up the Nick Shirley thing. is that we're at kind of a point right now where like people are like, oh, this is discredited, and like then like you go like, oh, the Cato Institute, they're not credited, or like used to people like, oh, Snopes says this, and now like Snopes isn't credible.
No,
at
I
all.
don't want to.
No, I know, but hold on. Yeah, Snopes is like. By the way, I fact checked Snopes the other day on some shit, and there was a WordPress article that they were quoting in there, and it was literally like somebody's grandma made a page and like typed some shit.
Use Snopes is now.
Snopes is not credible at all. But the point I'm going to make with this though is
I wasn't saying Cato wasn't credible. I was just making a joke that they're libertarian.
I know you're making a joke, but I think there's actually a greater conversation.
I cite the Cato Institute.
Hold on, shut the fuck up for a second, bitch.
For the immigration stuff.
Let me just finish. I think there's a greater conversation to be had here with like really something we should be concerned about is like online. Like we have like I go out right and every day I'll talk to like liberals and conservatives and like ultra lefties, but the online world is so different than like the real world, like the topics. And like I'll bring up topics and I'll bring them up in here. And sometimes, and this isn't even a bash, they'll just be outright dismissed. You're like, nobody thinks that. And I'm like, bro, 15 people I talked to had the same conversation the other night when we were out. And like I'll bring it up and then I'll see it online like Facebook or something.
We don't count the mental institution.
Would you just let me fucking finish, bro? No, it's not even anecdotes, but it's interesting.
I agree with you.
That you come on and like even like different like websites like TikTok and Twitch and all these have different like YouTube right now is like a conservative bastion, and I'll bring up topics on there, and they'll be like, "Who's saying this?" And I'm like, "Bro, we had a Prime panel on Monday about this," and they're like, "No retard saying this shit." Like nobody, they gotta be retarded. And I'm like, "Bro, like," and they'll say the same thing. Gibbs, your anecdote don't matter. And I'm like, "Bro, we literally had a whole 3-hour panel on this on Monday." And then like, and it's so interesting. Well, I know, thank you. And it's very interesting how these like webs don't overlap. But at the same time, they do, and I think there's something to be concerned for here. Like, do y'all not agree with this?
That no one agrees. No one agrees that the other person's role.
No, it's like
that no one knows how to pronounce an anecdote. I agree. It's fucking
he was saying it's the antidote.
No, but what Gibbs is saying is that like there's all these worlds and bubbles that like seem to like not agree that the other one even exists. And how are we having any conversations?
I don't think those people. I don't think that exists.
It does.
No, I'm joking. It's part of the.
He's not.
That took me a sec too.
So I agree on Gibbs that there are bubbles, and maybe there's a conversation to be had there. That actually might be a good topic.
Not today, though, Gibbs.
Yeah.
Today we talk about the NCAA.
See, and we could have got to the other topic if you hadn't interrupted me 5 times. I don't know.
Oh, guys. Let's go to the actual topic. Gibbs, thanks for resubbing to the channel, being a real one. Hey, everyone. Hope you enjoyed that intro. Okay, right? And we only had this long intro because everyone else was late, right? I was like, okay, I got to come up with something, right? And I'm like, okay, what am I going to do?
I was 5 minutes late.
Oh, is that why we had it?
Antagonize Lactoid. And then here we are, okay? He was.
I think Ollie was way later than me.
Oh, they say showing up early is a sign of.
I get the perk of running on colored people time,
or
so
maybe
okay.
Intelligent people show up late.
I think memory also is a signifier of intelligence. So maybe memorizing. No, I'm just joking. Sorry.
Okay. So anyway, the point is, like, if you like that intro that went all over the place, consider supporting the channel. Sub to channel, keep bits of gift subs if you're on Twitch, and if on YouTube, consider using a super chat. We'll put your super chat up on the screen. We'll have a conversation about your super chat. We'll bring it up and make it a part of the topic. So consider having us that way. If you're on Kick, just follow. Just follow us on Kick. We don't have anyone following. We have very few people following on Kick. I'm not sure we've reached 10 yet. But in any case, just do that. That's all I need from you. But in any case, thank you all for being here. We'll get started with the actual topic for now. If you managed to stick with us, thank you. But yeah, the actual topic we'll work on that now. All right. So my computer is like crazy slow. I'm not sure is my camera like.
You're fine.
Okay.
It's it freezes for like a second every once in a while. Like I don't know. Every like 20 minutes. It's
been freezing a bunch of my stuff. Like I don't know what's going on. Okay. The topic. The NCAA backed a congressional bill that was recently defeated by a bipartisan mix of lawmakers. The bill, named the SCORE Act, would have exempted the NCAA and its members from U.S. federal antitrust laws. The goal was to weaken the bargaining power of student athletes and restore much of the power that was lost in a recent Supreme Court case that found that the NCAA violated the Sherman Act. For instance, the SCORE Act would have given the NCAA the ability to decide if an athlete's NIL contracts, name, image, and likeness contracts, were valid. The NCAA has been described as a cartel. Do you think the NCAA is a good example of why antitrust laws are important? Should the government be intervening to protect student athletes? Should those students be able to collectively bargain? Are there other areas where you think antitrust laws are important? Or do you think that the NCAA, as a private organization, should be left to decide its own rules without outside government pressure? So yeah, I ran across this story, and I thought it might be interesting. The NCAA was lobbying hard for this. I'm not a sports guy, but I do care about labor issues, and the NCAA was, famously had rules about amateurism that designated the athletes under them as like ineligible to like get remuneration or get almost very little remuneration for their efforts, even as the organization itself and the coaches and other people under it were like raking in millions upon millions from their efforts. And so that got struck down, and now athletes can get like form outside contracts, can do like deals, right? Like with a shoe company or whatever, right? And they can get paid. It's fantastic. But the NCAA is striking back, and this was an attempt. Now, it didn't seem to work out for them, and Republicans seem to be quite against this, or at least a contingent of them seemed quite against this. And so I want to talk about this. Do you think the NCAA is a cartel? Right? Do you think this was a overall great outcome? Like how the government has put in pressure through various means on this organization that has now given these athletes the ability to negotiate contracts and whatnot. And if not, well, why not? Yeah. So let's start with our good first? Friend. Well, okay. Let's go with Bam.
All right, he's done.
I wanted to get this. Yeah, that was great. No, I wanted to get this out there from a few different perspectives as someone who was a member of the NCAA Division One, as a former NCAA Division One athlete who didn't benefit from NIL. I came right as the transition to NIL kicked in, so I didn't get the benefit from this. This issue is more complicated, and I think the framing of the conversation of the question shows, and I think that some people may be surprised, or maybe not, for my stance. At the coming down the Supreme Court ruling that Division I athletes have a right to make money off of their name, image, and likeness, I believe was a good decision. Overall, I believe that athletes shouldn't be prevented, just like any other student, from finding gainful employment or using, like I said, using the name and the name and image that God gave them, that they've earned and benefited from, and the money they make for these universities, to go and make an earning for themselves. There was a second case that allowed for the universities to pay the athletes directly, like the universities pay the athletes directly. So the SCORE Act came in question because it's trying to make a framing around, essentially, it's trying to make NCAA trying to take some level of power back. So it does a couple things. One, it wants to create an some antitrust laws to prevent athletes from coming together and claiming to be employees of their universities and employees of the NCAA, so they can't collectively bargain against the schools. And the NCAA is a union, like they won't be able to unionize. I don't think this is a good thing. What it does do that's a good thing is it tries to create some balance. So in professional sports outside of baseball, you have salary caps, meaning that there is only so much money that universities you're trying to create some level of an even playing field. The issue being that the caps it creates is going to be based on your TV ratings. And the issue this runs into is, one, is going to benefit the bigger conferences that already benefit the SEC and the Big Ten, who do more TV ratings than every other all the other Power 4 NCAA conferences combined. But also it's going to have a massive negative impact on women's sports, because like track and field or volleyball or insert, not even just women's sports, any other sport that's not college football, to be honest, is going to have a massive impact, because it's going to set a cap on how much those players are allowed to make, because their pay is going to be based on revenue, which is going to create an inherent advantage. The problem, and I'm sorry, this is the last thing, I just wanted to put some framing out there for
take your time.
Haven't looked into it.
Okay, Scott.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm pulling the Scott.
Also, what sport? What sport, by the way?
Football.
Okay.
Of course. Come on. The problems with how things are currently done right now, and I think this is universally, not like even the people who are against the SCORE Act acknowledge, is that we're kind of in a wild west right now. The athletes are getting paid both by the universities and by whatever contract and agreements they want to make, but they're in the in-between place where there's no contractual obligations. A player can get paid any money from pretty much any source, and they have no obligation to stay at the school, like to hold any like contractual obligations, and all of those money sources, like they're 18 and 19 years old, and they're making agreements to large sums of money for expectations that they can come to realize, like, oh, maybe this actually, maybe I wasn't responsible enough to make this level of agreement by myself. Maybe we do need to have functioning an agent system. Maybe we do need to have financial advisors built into the system. Maybe we do need to have health insurance, because I'm putting my body on the line for this level of money, which is something that the SCORE Act talked about. So, without giving a full opinion here or there, I think I will lay out opinion more into the open. I just wanted to flesh out that there is a split, and there is an argument to be had on this.
Can I go next, if you don't mind, Brian?
Yep, sure, absolutely.
Yeah, as the other D1 athlete, actually everything he said is like 100% correct. I did wrestling, he did football, so good. He's better than me. But I will say this, he's absolutely correct with what he's saying. But let's go actually dive a little deeper. The schools that are actually really for the SAVE Act, they're schools that are in the old power conferences, the SEC and the Big Ten, that were not doing well. The schools, I'll give two examples that are like where they're offset. Texas A&M, where I went, is a big money school. They got a shitload of money. They're like number 8 on prestige all time, but they're not considered like the perennial power, because they're always like consistently decent, right? However, now, since the Manziel era and now the NIL era, they are now able to spend all this excess oil money that they get from the Texas benefit program that we have, and they're able to use it indirectly to buy student athletes, basically. And so schools like Alabama, who have been a traditional power, are not able to do this to the level that UT and Texas A&M are doing, or Ohio State and Michigan are able to do, because they have other resources there. And so you're seeing a lot of the old powers very upset. Now, the flip side of this is that this goes all the way down to UIL. We're seeing high school athletes get money that shouldn't probably be getting money. We're seeing kids like this in Texas, and this comes down to the state-by-state problem, right? And so there does need to be some kind of national regulation that will divvy this up across the board. But the NCAA is in the Wild West right now, and it's kind of an exciting time, but at the same time, it's really bad. And it's when you talked about, I missed the NIL era as well. I actually was one of the worst NCAA D1 wrestlers of all time, right? However, I had a big following. If I'd gone, I could have probably got sponsored by all sorts of programs. Any Texas A&M quarterback, or say like Drew Tate from Iowa back in the day, they were never going to make the pros. Only 10% of athletes ever make the pros. However, they could have benefited greatly and sold their likeness into perpetuity like they are now, but they could have made tons of money at the time. Like Drew Tate was a huge name during his time at Iowa, but like now you've never even heard of him, right? Same thing with like some of these other quarterbacks like Gerard Johnson from A&M, some of these linebackers that just quite didn't make the NFL, but they were big names. These guys could have got paid. They could have got paid by the local local car dealership. These guys could have been benefiting. A lot of these times, these guys get injured and they don't have a plan afterwards because they didn't have the insurance plans all the time the way they did now with like playing for like if you're going to go to pros. These guys can now get insurance plans on themselves as opposed to before. So like when we look at the SAVE Act, I actually was against the SAVE Act because it just doesn't do the right things. And we do need a nationalized system, but it's just not enough in some ways, right? And it's as opposed to before, like the NCAA is a cartel. If you know anything about the NCAA, they're honestly one of the most evil groups of people in the United States. They are literally modern day slave owners. South Park lampooned the shit out of them with the slaves. I mean, student athletes. You know, they like literally meme the shit out of them. This is literally how they act. They make $1 billion off March Madness, right? AC Law. He was Texas A&M's all-star. He made the March Madness, came back 3 times to get him to overtime, made him into like semifinals. Guess what? This guy made no career in the pros, got paid zilch, right? This guy could have probably lived the rest of his life just being AC Law. But instead, now he's probably working a car dealership or something, like somewhere where he's got a little bit of name recognition and he, can use it to sell some cars. It's sad because these guys got fucked by the NCAA. And we can look this out. Women's sports will be devastated, especially if they put a cap on it. Other sports that aren't as big, like will also be like horseback riding. You'll see soccer. Some of these other sports, where they don't have this because they're going to cap it also. Say that not the answer, but we do need an answer. And the NCAA is honestly evil cartel owners and plantation owners. Fuck them motherfuckers.
I agree. The SAVE Act isn't the answer.
Yeah, it's definitely not the SAVE Act, but it's fair enough.
You keep calling it the SAVE Act. SAVE Act is on your mind.
Yeah, sorry, your SAVE Act. I mean the whatever. You know what I'm talking about.
Score.
They both start with it's the SS because they're basically modern day Nazis. You know what I'm saying?
The SAVE Act is basically like the Gestapo. I agree.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else want to jump in front of Lactoid?
Can I go after Lactoid?
Yeah. After? Before? Yeah.
Can I go after Corey? But before Ollie, that's where I want to be.
I think it's a reasonable request.
Make this a math problem for me. Like I want a word problem.
It's a logic problem. If A, then B, but only a B is C.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's modern day gender ideology.
For last,
put me
before
really
Lactoid.
I want to go 4 places ahead of half of the places that was just done.
Fuck! I'm not going to be able to vote.
Okay, let's go down. Lactoid, go ahead. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of these situations where I don't know if you're gonna get too much fight, Prime.
Yeah.
There's a reason I think why this bill was shot down by bipartisan force here, which is that there's some genuine free market concerns as well. The SCORE Act puts a bunch of regulations on what student athletes can do and what they can accept, and basically does place the NCAA in this position of power through legislation. So yeah, I'm not a huge fan of to whatever extent this goes towards unionizing. Yeah, I'm against all that. But in terms of this bill, yeah, I think it sucks. So I don't know if you're gonna get any supporters of the NCAA's attempted legislative enforced monopoly here. I don't know if it's going to be a tough one.
Well, that's why I wanted to expand this, not just NCAA, but about antitrust.
UIL should be involved in this as well. I feel like that's not a part of this that's being talked about enough because since the NIL has been put in there, but we'll get into it.
Yeah. Let's go to our friend Corey.
Thank you for granting my request to go after Lactoid. very much appreciated. And well, I actually also agree with the Lactoid's overall sentiment. And I also have no problem pleading ignorance of like, I don't really know how the NCAA works, or even just largely how college sports works in the United States, since I don't care about them and I think they're stupid. But I don't see any reason why, but someone
Typical
can illuminate
Canadian
me.
answer.
Yeah. My ultimate answer, okay, to all of this is ban football, ban baseball, ban basketball. There you go. Problem solved.
Let's get into that. Let's get into that.
But one of the last things I'll say is like maybe someone can illuminate as to like why, or maybe there's the reason why there's no disagreement of like, yeah, why the NCAA is like, I don't know, different or seem to be regulated differently than the NBA or NFL, or like, yeah, this historical, or at one point this carve up for student athletes. But then it's like, well, do the student athletes have official coaches? There, it seems to be a little bit of disconnect there. But all that to say, he's like, yeah, I don't support it either, from what I can tell. And it seems like a ridiculous thing. And I still stand by ban football, ban baseball, ban basketball.
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 Wait, hold on. Why basketball?
Is there not college basketball?
If you want,
I would imagine basketball, football. I guess it's probably college
football
baseball?
at least makes sense because it's
from a TBI point of view.
Well, Corey, I can answer if you want a real quick answer why the
injuries
NCAA exists outside of like NFL and football is because NFL and NBA and all these were pro orgs, right? The NCAA, I think it was 1906, was created to like ensure fair competition. They wanted uniform rules across all the sports for the colleges. So they actually formed as a scholastic organization. But since they figured out, hey, some of these sports make a fuck ton of money, they were like, let's fucking use our special status, just like churches do, to like get out of taxes. They're like, we're going to use our special status to make bukus of money for our university and then provide shit. They're like, yeah, it's literally slavery. That's literally what they're doing. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I don't think churches should be exempt from taxes.
I know. I figured that's why I related that to you.
Yeah, exactly. We're on the same page.
Bridges.
Awesome. All right. Yes. Let's raise taxes. Oh, wow. We're making lots of agreement here. All right. Lacto's on his head. Let's go to our friend.
His flag says to tax them specifically on that part. So
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Let's go to our friend Hunter.
Yeah, I will say I'm certainly biased against the SCORE Act. I'm certainly biased against the NCAA. I think that maybe sometimes we use the slave metaphor a little bit too frequently, but I certainly agree with the sentiment. But I mostly am excited to sit my white ass down and listen because I don't know much about the NCAA, but I'm glad that Bam and Gibbs, I'm glad Gibbs finally knows what he's talking about. That's what I'm I'm stoked for. So I'm excited to hear more from you. I
he's going to talk all about the SAVE Act for the next 2 hours.
Listen, you know what I mean. It's the same words.
That's about it.
Okay. And Ali.
Yeah, Gibbs is right. Words are words. Right.
I guess he does. He knows a lot of shit, dude.
Yeah, like you're like I said, no disagreement. I'm pretty fuck the NCAA. They have been making money off of student athletes for long enough to where they should have been paying them. At this point, honestly, hit them a little harder. Pay reparations to the students who were playing before who didn't get any of the money because
that's slavery.
Because to be fucking true, like in fair, you guys, student athletes do put their bodies on the line, especially like football players, right? With CTE rates and so on and so forth. Like your body's getting damaged. The school is making exuberant amounts of money off of you, both in like ticket sales and I mean, even if they're doing if they're giving you a scholarship to pay, I mean, the scholarship still goes to the school gets a payout from it. Like there's donations, all of that, depending on what school you go to. So, I mean, yeah, I think you guys should be paid out. You should have been paid out for it years ago, but then like if there's going to be money being paid out to students now, I think past students should get a cut as well.
I want to bring back. I brought up UIL. I want to bring up the UIL part again because like I think this is important, right? So the UIL, I don't know if the UIL is national or not, but I know at least in Texas they have like rules on how you can earn. And so if you're a student athlete,
that is UIL.
It's a University of Interscholastic. It's basically NCAA for like high schools.
Okay.
Yeah. So like they'll basically, so like say you're a coach at like Cal Allen High School in Corpus Christi, the winningest program in all state history in football, right? So if you go in there and you're Coach Danner, and great coach, now he's got dementia, so now he doesn't coach. But when he was there, he couldn't get gifts as the coach under UIL rules. So what they would do is they would give him a brand new truck every year, and they would give him a brand new truck, and he would pay $1 every year on the truck, or like $18, I think, after they changed it. So literally, he's getting a brand new truck every year to stay at this school because the boosters are paying the truck over there, and then he's paying $18. Now, the kids, if I was the quarterback, Dustin Vaughn, for example, one of the guys that made the pros for Callan, if he was over here going to say, hey, I'm at Callan, I want to do a interview, or I want to go do a commercial for Wildcat Ford across from the campus, I can't do that. They're going to shut me down. That's bullshit. Instead, they expect me either to work full time and not be able to contribute to the schools and practice and do this, or they expect them to take it up the ass and just make the school money. So this is kind of like the crazy aspect of this, where they don't want the kids to make money and they don't want coaches to make money because the UIL is doing this, and this is all covered now. I know the SCORE Act specifically focuses on NCAA, but this is part of the reason why it's bad, is because the NIL has made this shit the Wild West, and like the NCAA is backed by these perennial powers, such as like Alabama, USC, but USC is fine because they're rich, but like some of these other ones that are like big perennial powers, and like the NCAA when it was originally founded was to ensure the fair sports, because you would have schools like A&M with all their oil money would go and sit here like, under the table, give stuff away, and then SMU would try to do it, and then they would just say, you would see the corruption where they give SMU the death penalty, but they wouldn't give A&M or Texas that, because they bring in, like Bram was talking about, is they're bringing in the TV revenue. They don't want to crush their big TV revenue hogs. And so as schools have been progressing, even before the NIL, you have schools like Boise State who have been making tons of money like off their TV revenue in these areas, but the bigger schools don't like that, and so they would go and force them out. And then Longhorns, they were big enough, they had their own network, but the SEC didn't like this, and so they backed it out, and they were like, as part of joining the SEC, you have to get rid of the Longhorn network and stuff like this. So this is kind of a way for the NCAA to guarantee power with their exemption status, and that's a big issue they have with this. And then like I said, the NIL is so big across the board with high school athletes, and like that's not talked about at all, which I think is even more impactful if you're growing up, because if you're a high school kid, all the thing Bam said about financial advisors, yeah, you might graduate college, you might be intelligent enough to get into college and have financial advisor. Okay, cool, that's one thing. But if you're like a 15-year-old kid and your family's dirt poor and you're like the most athletic kid on like a high school, you probably do need a financial advisor if someone's coming in there paying you, I don't know, $8K or $10K to like do a commercial for like a local car dealership, and they don't have that, and this act didn't address any of that.
Well, wait, to be fair, this whole financial advisor thing is like kind of overstretched, because like a lot of the people when they're in the NFL, when they leave, end up broke as well. And
the NFL switched that up too. The NFL actually started adding financial advisors.
Yeah, but like high school athletes are local celebrities.
Most people who have never seen like millions of dollars and just get millions of dollars overnight probably need a financial advisor, right?
Yeah, but what if it's $50K? Like say you like, so like
even $50K. I mean, if you don't have $50K, $50K is money you're not going to know how to spend.
Well, here's my reasoning for this. Like Corpus, and they have the 3 News channel, like I think it is channel 3 or what, channel 5, whatever. But the channel 3 News, they do this thing called the Sports Blitz, and originally it started during football season. It would just be 10 minutes at the end of the program. It got so big, it's an hour-long show now. And then there's Fox Sports Southwest that does the same thing. And what happens is these kids, high school kids, get massive followings, right?
Yeah, they should get paid.
They should get paid, but here's the issue. Are you telling me a kid who's come from, like, I don't know, the ghetto, and they don't have any financial training, they're going to go in there and they're going to do this, they're not going to be screwed over or corrupted or taken advantage of by NFL people?
The issue with that is that like these high school high schoolers are becoming famous and popular, which is already like high schoolers with millions of followers shouldn't have been a thing, and that's not something we're prepared for or expected, I don't think. So I don't know if we know how to deal with that necessarily right now. But the issue is, like, you're going into college as an athlete. You aren't just an athlete, you are a celebrity, right? So like, unfortunately, like, well not unfortunately, but like to the point that Bam was making, you do need an agent, right? So if you are a high schooler who's supposed to be making, like, who's going to be making all this money, the idea would be like your parents are supposed to help you navigate through that. Maybe your parents help you find like an agent or like some financial guy.
What if the village is retarded? What if your parents is
so then you don't think we should pay these people?
No, I think that there needs to be regulation on how, like,
The government can't come in and be like, well, you need to have a financial advisor if you're going to have millions of followers on Instagram. Like,
you can make the companies buying these high school kids like appropriate some of this.
Can we do this?
To like afford like pay.
I mean, the NCAA was gonna. The NCAA was putting a cap on, like they were gonna have like not a union, but they were gonna have like basically if you were going to be an agent within the NCAA, they were gonna place a 5% maximum cap on what you could charge players. So I'm actually gonna make a more conservative argument towards this since that's where we're at, and because I feel like because I do believe it is more complicated. When I say the when I say the NCAA right now is the Wild West, it's that none of these all of these like things that are happening are like backdoor like handshake deals that have no like legal binding for either side, for the players or for the universities. Because there is no industry, there is no one like navigating or setting what the rules are supposed to be and what the standards are supposed to be to do this. And I think that
there are no rules.
Yeah, that's the thing. There are no rules right now. A kid can take some money and say he's coming to your school and never show up, and there's nothing they can do about it. And the school can promise you playing time and $250,000 or whatever, and you can show up and they don't give it to you.
Isn't that on the school to like ensure some sort of contract is signed? Or what?
Well, yeah.
I'm asking. I'm
there are some
like,
contracts, but there's a lot of the backroom like dealing going on. Like for example, a school did sue a kid for not going there after he committed because they had paid out NIL, and I think some companies sued the kid because he had already done like a promise that he was going to go, and they're like, oh, if you come, we'll give you X amount of money, and you'll do this for us. And then he's like, well, I switched last minute, so they like sued him. But then what happened was I think another school, the people that were going to get him over there just paid for the law and legal aspect of it.
But
so,
I mean,
it's crazy.
Corey, the reason that can't necessarily be done is because of the categorization. Student athletes are they're student athletes. They're not considered professionals, and the universities aren't private business. Like the sports teams aren't considered private businesses. And the student athletes aren't employees of these private businesses. So they're of these non-private businesses. So
you were saying they shouldn't be though. You don't think they should be able to unionize? I think that's what you're saying.
I think that no. I think that there's the SCORE Act would have been against it. I'm in favor of unionization. I think that players should be able to collectively bargain. Like that's what the NFL does. The NFL ended up making the NFLPA, the Players Association, and the Players Association ended up setting rules on like revenue share, and they set rules on like how much. I think you get after 3 years in the league, you qualify for like healthcare for 5 years post retirement. But like the NCAA doesn't have any of this, and I say that to say that like we can be in favor of free market all we want, but I don't know. Like I said, I guess the quote unquote, I'm just a boy who likes football in the South. I do believe that there's a value of going to college, having your college paid for to play sports. I do think that's value in and of itself. I don't want people to minimize that. I do like the student portion of student athletes.
So hold on. I'm going to take a more libertarian conservative here. Maybe we can all.
Once we have one libertarian.
Only one. We were missing one. It was a big hole.
I think it's perfectly libertarian to say, hey, don't pass a law mandating what kind of compensation student athletes can get.
Yeah, but the problem is you don't have the Scholastic overview.
Let me make my point here. So, it seems incumbent upon these schools, like our friend Coy was trying to get to, right? To if you're making expectations, right? One, you should put it in the contract.
They can't be a contract. They're not businesses.
What do you mean they're not? No, you don't have to be a business to form a contract.
Yeah, but if you're finding these are student athletes, they're not employees.
So, they don't have to be employees. You don't have to. You can form contracts between two parties where one is not an employee of the other.
Yeah, it might be ignorant, but does the classification of student athlete exempt you from engaging any contract? I don't.
Yeah, I believe it does. I believe there's limitations on how and why you can pay people without being while remaining a non-for-profit status. They get tax exemption from the government for this.
You're muted, Gibbs. But let me just finish this, and then I'd love to hear what you all have to say. One, I think it's incumbent upon them to make these agreements, right? Just like they do with anything else, right? Especially big when a lot of money is being tossed around. It's up to them to do that.
It's not.
And then okay, so I love to explore it with you. And then we should I don't know about adding regulations to what was I about to say? Shit, damn it, sorry. It's gone.
So yes, they were a special class, right? And so if the EA college football is actually the big reason why the NIL deal got put in place. EA wanted to do a college football game, and there was that case afterward that I guess rewarded so college players could get paid, and so EA had to go and individually bargain with all these different players to put them in the game. Now, before that, the NCAA was just getting a straight check from EA every year, and the college kids were getting none of it, even though they were using their likenesses, their previous year stats, their previous all. So the kids weren't getting paid at all, right? And all the schools were getting like a percentage check or whatever. Now the issue with this is, and I would usually be on the more libertarian side, no money, like we get no regulations, is because what we've done is now with the original purpose that the NCAA was needed, you wanted a uniform competition field across the board, right? And you wanted the same rules, everybody's playing under. Now we're not playing by the same rules at all. Like so for example, there's a reason why there's a salary cap in the NFL, because Jerry Jones would just go in there and pay $1 billion to have the most OP team ever. Right. And so luckily with college football, the reason that hasn't happened is because there's so many actually top tier players that it's not going to be one school that can do that. However, you do have this situation where like 10 schools are doing this. And so now you have like certain conferences where it used to be a competitive conference, but now you only have 2 schools in that conference that are worth a damn. And so you have 10 schools nationally while all the other schools are like getting scraps. Now somebody's going to say, oh, what about Indiana with 2-star, 3-star recruits? Well, good.
What about Indiana? Going to say that?
I was about to say that.
What about
it was on the tip of my tongue. I was going to say it.
I got you. The answer to this would be, and I hate using this, is the exception makes the rule. And now that they become a perennial program, they're going to sit there and they're going to be able to buy the school. They're going to buy the revenue. They're going to be able to take this thing from other things, and they're going to be able to expand their school. All these things. So, like, yes, some schools may benefit. You might have some like one-off outliers. However, you're going to see across the board where the power is concentrated in a new group. And I guess if you're part of that new group, like I am, I'm at A&M. I'm an A&M alum. Big fan. I love being near the top of the SEC now. But, I do think it does hurt competition overall. And the UIL is only Texas. And we don't have a national league for high school athletes. And so we don't have a uniform thing. And part of this is going to create where we have all these different states. And that's why the score act.
So let me say that I don't remember what I was going to say. Then I'll go straight to you. But also, why should we be making regulations to say that these people, like especially if they're adults when they make the contract, it's different when if they're kids. If they're high school kids, then I had different ideas. But if you're an adult, right, and you go into a contract and it's a bad contract, that also seems to be your business, right? Like I don't know if you necessarily have to make a regulation to say that
so you sign when you're 17, but then you can't transfer, right? Because you lose your scholarship if you transfer, and you have to wait a year. Like that was the rule before. Now they changed the rule. You could transfer and be directly eligible because of the NIL. So this is like something beforehand. I would sign a contract when I was 17, and I would go to Alabama. Right, and then I would be locked in for 4 or 5 years. Now, if I wanted, and then if I wanted to leave Alabama, and another school would offer me, I had to sit for a year at a smaller school. I sit out, and then I could, or be registered, and then I could go. And so what's happened now is because of this NIL change, they can sit here and they could go directly from Alabama to A&M, get paid, and immediately be on there. As opposed to before, you had this kid locked under a contract that was unfair to them comparatively.
Yeah, but that's that's their business, right? Like
but they were 17.
Would you say that about student loans?
Yeah, they're 17.
To be clear, hold on. I made a clear exception. I said, hey, if they're kids, I don't know. That sounds different, right? But once you're 18, right, and maybe you can only sign these contracts once you're 18. Maybe that should be a rule, right? But once you're 18 and you make these decisions, I don't know.
Let's give a bunch of fifth graders a contract that says when you're 20 years old,
they're adults.
When you're 20 years old, we get to take all your money.
Contracts are generally not enforceable against children. Generally,
I feel you made the exact opposite argument when it comes to student loans. I feel like you argue one of the issues of people shouldn't have to pay back student loans is because you're 18, you're taking on this debt.
People shouldn't have student loans to begin with.
Sure, but you made the argument, even people who have them shouldn't have them because they were 18 whenever they made those agreements.
It's predatory for people during.
I'm not saying you're a liar. I just don't particularly remember making this argument. But again, I'm not calling you a liar. Mm-hmm. But in the case, any which way, they shouldn't be within that system to begin with. Right, that shouldn't be the case.
But if the system exists,
but what do we do about the kids who are there?
Their fault though. So their fault for going to college. You would say that
the
right
student
now.
loans are predatory
No,
and forced, like they're needed.
We're saying arguably the scholarship system could be predatory depending on how they do it, and like these bigger schools are definitely predatory in the way. But now it's less predatory since they can now because the transfer rule is gone, which was a big factor in that.
Yeah, I don't know if these contracts, the student loan contracts, are predatory in the way that you're even describing, though, right? Like, sorry, for the student athlete contracts. I don't know. Like, my understanding is that their terms aren't that bad. I mean, like, I took student loans back then, and the terms don't seem even as bad as that. So, like,
The terms
if I
aren't
was
bad.
forced to be consistent, then sure, okay. Well, then those kids, they signed those contracts, assuming they were 18. Then yeah, I guess it's fine.
Isn't the interest rates on student loans crazy?
They
Like
are.
higher than
That's why we
average?
shouldn't have them. Once again, my prescription is, hey, the U.S. should pay for everyone's colleges, right? So like
The
that's
boost in income is like significantly more than
It's worth it.
what the actual
Yeah,
debt
it's
costs.
for sure worth it.
Like,
There's
for
also
example, most
largely
student
a
debt.
pause while you're at school.
Yes,
on
there
interest.
is, and you can also get deferment for other reasons, a whole bunch. But this is why the most student debt is held by higher income populations in the United States, right? So
That's why, largely speaking, if you get rid of student debt, it is actually regressive. It actually
it is
benefits-
regressive. Yep.
I think
higher
it's
income
not.
people.
I think
Yeah.
it would be what I've heard is actually it can be beneficial for undergrad. I think post secondary.
Even for
Still,
undergrad.
it's yeah.
I
undergrad, it's
understand what you're saying,
income,
but
you're still in
there's benefits though. The benefits outweigh the
Yeah, well,
negatives.
no, the benefit is you give like wealthier people a bunch of money, which
You should. My argument is that you should have
No,
free
there's
college,
a lot of
but you
people who
should
don't
not.
finish college.
Yeah. I agree. My opinion is usually you should make free college, but you should not wipe student debt. That is a regressive tax.
Again,
There's
I
so many
think
people
I'm about to
who
say I don't
don't
want to make this about
benefit,
student debt, but I'm
What?
just
who
saying
didn't
there's
finish their
it is-
degrees, so on and so forth. I'm not
That's
even.
fine.
No. Sure, but people who finish their degrees, it is largely speaking, the student debt is largely held within the highest quintile of the
yes,
American
because the
population.
vast majority of student debt isn't held by undergrad.
I also think one
Yeah.
suggestion that I think would be really interesting would be I've heard some people propose this. I don't fully know what I think about it, but I can think it might have some positive market effects. Is that you make college loans bankruptable, but the debt gets transferred to the institution that you went to. So if you graduate from a college and you like are poor and you can't make any money, I killed him so much.
What if you like get wasted? What if you get wasted every day and then just like don't show up to class and you drop out? Should the school still?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the thing. You would have to have like some kind of like
But they can't
process for,
prove
like,
I did that.
If the school can prove some kind of discipline. No, but what you would do is like that would
Well, you get academic
incentivize.
probation and so on and so forth.
It would incentivize them
yeah.
to actually fucking make it work.
Yeah, because
but then
now it's
they're
like
just gonna raise lower the standards. So like, oh, we're gonna put
No, they were
academic
raising
probation on
standards.
anybody. No. Say like right now, I think academic probation is like what 2.5 or 2.8.
I did not hear a word of this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
what
never
do you
slurred,
say?
by the way.
You never
Never ever slurred.
I think academic probation.
probation.
Academic
is gonna be
probation.
like
okay, I'm with
2.8,
you.
like a GPA, or like 3.0 or 2.5, depending.
Totally
What they're gonna
depends
do
on
is
the
just
school.
gonna like raise it or lower it. It's like, oh, okay, everybody 3.0.
No.
3.2.
You would have to.
Anybody that drops in there for any reason.
No, I understand.
academic
I understand. You would have to have some kind of like. It's not going to be so simple. But like when you look at what the actual effects of this would be is. Universities are going to be incredibly incentivized now to be more selective with who they allow in, and also to put in tremendous amounts of effort to make sure that their
That it's worth
graduates
it.
have marketable skills and can make a lot of money. Because if they're on the hook for the debt that a student incurred,
hate
if
this
they
I'm
can't
with
make
it.
money,
I
Let's
hate
do
this
it.
idea.
I think this is probably
this
there's
idea.
probably going to be some
Awful.
downstream effects, but I'll hear it.
I feel like lactose
But
is always
I
about
don't think
giving
it's gonna
people
probably
less
work out.
access to
Th-
things. Like he's
this
always
is
like
an
all his
awful
policies
idea.
come back to people don't.
Yeah.
Less people deserve.
Oh wait, just
Rather
to be
than
clear,
just,
just to be clear, no, this is the most progressive idea I have because as it stands right now, student loans are not bankruptable. So like you're just stuck with them for life until you pay them off.
Yeah.
So my proposal is actually more progressive than most of
Than
my
the current
opinions.
system.
And by the way, I'm not sure about what I actually feel about this. I want to make that clear because it is progressive, and that's an indication that's terrible. So I got to be a little bit careful here. There might be some pitfall that I'm not aware of. I'm just trying to think about like certain ways to fix
We
this problem.
should be paying back
people
loans from the past, right? Which wouldn't benefit me because I already paid off my loans, right? From undergrad and graduate. I already did that. So we should be doing that, even though it's not going to benefit Prime, right? Because Prime can operate in that way.
You should get that money back, Prime.
Yeah, it should benefit other high-income people.
You should get reparations for paying your student loans.
Wait, do you have a counter to that? Like the fact that most student debt is owned by doctors who make
actually, I do have a counter to that. That's extremely limiting to doctors. Like if I could not,
they make $200K.
No, hold on.
What is a doctor of like?
Don't worry, I'm going to spell it out for you very quickly.
Doctor of art.
Because
they don't make $200K.
Like, if I couldn't, like, let's say, like, oh my god. So let's say I couldn't. I'm in Congress and I can't get a bill passed for universal college tuition, right? Government paid college tuition, right? Then the thing that I would accept, right, just under that would be just doing it for doctors.
Okay, here's
right?
what's crazy.
Just for doing it for doctors.
To me,
and hold on, I'm gonna explain it. Don't worry, I'll explain it because it makes sense, right? The reason why that's such an awful idea is that not to pay for them is because doctors are then forced, right? They're forced to go into specializations that they don't want to do, right? There's it skews the
think
field,
of the doctors.
Field. Yes, actually think of the doctors.
Think of the people who have $200,000.
Unironically, think of the doctors because if you think about the doctors, then they and give them
I'm a doctor of theater
then
arts.
they can think about the patients.
These poor anesthesiologists, they make so much money.
Sorry, let me make the case and make the case, and then you can make fun of it. It's fine, okay?
Okay.
It skews the landscape of the medical field. This is well known, right? Prime is not just making this up. He's not pointing this out of his ass. It skews the medical field to specializations, and it skews our remuneration because those doctors, right? Because they need to pay down their loans, they advocate, right, for higher remunerations for each of their tests, right? And then the hospitals, right? They all skew to like let's make our patients do useless tests, right? This skews where the money goes, where the majority of it should go to general practice. And a lot of doctors want to do that, but they can't because they're buried under student loans. It's crazy, actually. So that because if and I've said this many times before, right? That Medicare for all doesn't really work in this country without paying for college tuition, because we need to increase for doctors, because we need to increase the amount of doctors available, right? And massively increase that supply. But this is a huge barrier for them. So yeah, and I'd be fine also because I'm not thinking of the doctors, right? I don't care about their pocketbook so much. I'm fine with them lowering their payments overall, right? That works for me too. The point is not to have them under debt. That's the issue. Not what they're making afterwards.
I have a couple questions for what you're saying.
The American Medical Student Association limits like we could have more doctors if we wanted more doctors. Like the industry itself limits the number of doctors that they have.
I agree that there should be a
Dr. Jinx needs you to pay for his college, guys.
Well, hold on, and that's bullshit, by the way. It's a really good point. There are like artificial limitations on how many people can be doctors in an area, and that is an artificial way to drive the salary of doctors up.
That's true.
Maybe just an area like med schools will say like we're only passing 50% of this class, like
hospital licensing.
Yeah, I agree. We should get rid of all those things. Yeah, that's part. These are all.
That's not a federal thing, though.
I'm with you.
No, that's one. I acknowledge what you just said. No, but friend, I acknowledge what you just said. But also, right, like getting through medical school, right, and coming out of a huge amount of debt keeps people who might otherwise go into the medical field from doing so. And then once they do, even they make that decision, right, it affects where they go and what they expect from,
which is a good thing,
and what the doctors.
But I think you're starting at the one that makes you feel
it is a good
thing. One that's actually the biggest problem.
So. Sorry, what'd you say? Bam?
I'm saying I think you're starting at the one that like at the issue that makes you feel the best versus the issue that would make the biggest difference.
Hold on.
Bam. Honestly, please. Please.
Well,
Bam.
can I ask
Do
a
you
question?
think? Do you think that I'm against all those other things? I literally just said, hey, I agree with
No,
this,
it's not
right?
about
But
against. It's just talking about
specifically-
where we
but
put our
hold on.
priorities.
But
at.
specific,
When y'all say doctors, do you mean only
specifically the
medical
thing that I was
doctors?
asked about
Yes.
was my
Yes.
stance on
So, like,
He said that this would be the
college,
second
tuition,
closest
right?
thing if
That's
you couldn't
the thing
get
that I'm
the other
talking about
shit.
right now. But I agree with doing all that other stuff.
Prime,
I take it all
just
down.
to
when
just
are
to
you
clarify,
for concessions?
just to clarify,
when do you ever talk about the
because as soon
second
as I
option?
learned about that, I thought that was
We got to go
disgusting.
back to sports
Yes,
for a second.
I agree
just to
with all that.
clarify,
It's so weird. Why would you say that?
Just to clarify, when you say doctors, we're not talking about like doctor of archaeology. That
No, he's talking
No
about
one's
medical
talking
doctors.
about
Medical
these other
doctors.
I
doctors.
said medical
Are
doctors.
you
medical
new to the
doctors.
English language,
I'm
Gibbs?
just making sure.
Technically,
We're just making sure.
I was
Gibbs,
talking
you
about
and I are
doctors
both
in the
technically
hospital.
doctors.
I'm getting
Technically, some
messages.
doctors
People
are
are
patients
asking what
sometimes.
doctors we're talking
No, I
about.
know, because
Yeah,
Gibbs is a doctor. Gibbs is actually a doctor
yeah,
as well.
we gotta
I'm also
be
a doctor.
Sometimes
Technically
Dr. Jill
speaking.
Biden needs to go into the
I know,
hospital. And then
Dr.
she's a
Jill.
doctor in the hospital.
Yeah, Jill Biden insisting on doctors is the cringiest shit.
I had
agree.
no student loans. with
Very
my
cringy,
doctor.
I'm
but
fine
hold on.
with you going by doctor.
But
I just
no,
know
it's
that when
cringy
we
as
call
fuck.
doctors, we call them doctors.
Yeah, it's cringy as
Yeah,
fuck.
sure.
Really,
whatever, I don't
honestly,
really care.
nobody should go by doctor unless they're a medical doctor. This is my hot take. I think
Fine.
that's how it
Well,
should
what
be.
if
Or
they're
you
like,
should go by
that's fine.
Esquire.
I agree.
That's fine.
Wait,
Yeah.
if you're a doctor of like poli science, you shouldn't be like Doctor So and So. Like
No,
you
no,
wouldn't
no,
use
no,
it.
no.
They
Hey,
should call it a
I
different
look like
thing.
if you're a member of one of those, bow tie, thick glasses kind of industries, we can call you professor. That's fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
professor-
I think that like
professor's fine.
titles are
super
important for
amino.
designation.
Rocket
Professor
And yeah. Titles I think for me are important for designation and social understanding. And so if most people understand doctor to mean medical doctor, that's what it should be limited to. Come on.
Yeah.
So like
It-
rocket
it-
science
like
guys.
to-
it's so
Professor
Do
so
you
dumb.
go by Esquire? I feel like all lawyers. should
I
go
don't
by
know.
Esquire.
I am I could go by Esquire, but it sounds conceited, so I don't.
Yeah,
Really?
It does.
I think it's so good.
It for
But you
sure does.
should.
You sound
But you
British,
should.
and you don't
Yeah.
want to sound British.
Or
No,
what's
but
the other one?
there's
Judas,
already-
what's the other one? Judas. What's the
Juris Doctor.
I have a Juris Doctor, but
okay.
nobody really goes by that. I mean, if I'm in the like, I will go by like attorney, because
Attorney is a good one.
that's very much communicates. Esquire is this weird kind of esoteric
Attorney is like a lawyer that passed the bar, right? Like if you finish law school,
attorney.
you're a
Lawyer.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit weird, but if you graduate from law school, generally you'll be called a lawyer. If you are a lawyer that is licensed to practice law, then you're an attorney. Is generally how it works out.
Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, these designators. Anyway, my hot take was kind of a little bit of a side.
Yeah. I think we all agree with that hot take.
But Prime, like, I guess a couple things. First of all, doctors generally, even general practice doctors, make a lot of money. They make enough money to account for the large debt that they have. I don't disagree. It is generally true across the board, and there are several studies that prove this, that the extra money that you make from going to college and taking on the college debt to go to college more than pays for itself. I don't see it as a problem that people feel motivated to meet market needs by going into industries that pay higher because there's fewer of them, fewer supply as compared to demand, to try to fit that. I don't see that as necessarily a problem. And I don't also really feel that simple. And I understand maybe like feeling sympathetic for people like if in a market sense they really fit a niche, but like the market sense kind of sucks for them, like they're poor or whatever. I sort of understand I sort of understand the sympathy to them, I suppose. But these kind of like higher end professionals, I just don't have sympathy for them. And this is myself included, right? Like these are people who are going to live better on average, significantly so, especially with a doctorate, far more than somebody who's never gotten one.
Yeah.
Far more than people who are blue collar or working retail.
That doesn't speak to their quality
This is
of life.
why liberals fail. Right, this is why liberals fail.
Why they hand wash for
because
fascists.
I know. Yeah, when you look at you agreeing with a conservative, right? Look at
hand washing for fascism.
No, I mean,
how is this fascism?
Right? Yeah. I don't care
saying we don't want to
because because I don't give a fuck about
Come on over, Hunter.
your sympathies, right? This
Fuck
isn't
you,
about
Gibbs.
sympathies,
Hunter's
right?
already there.
And certainly, right, what a surprise that a conservative doesn't have sympathy for a population of amazing,
wealthy
right?
doctors
like, who hasn't seen this before, right? But again, I don't give a fuck about your sympathies, right? And my policies aren't about sympathies. My policy is about making this country better, right? And the policy that I prefer, that I also made clear any which way, is across the board paying for college tuition, because
let's throw on yacht debt.
The friction. We want to eliminate the friction.
Yeah.
Keeping people from starting businesses or like being as productive as possible, right? And if going through college, I mean, their path may not be through college, and we should also pay for trade schools. If their path is through there, right? Then we should allow them to reach their full potential and not put those barriers in place. But from the liberal perspective, they're like, well, yeah, like I love half measures. Right? And so the argument that's appealing to me is that, we don't want to pay for rich people. There might be a rich person somewhere who gets cut a check.
No, it's not about
right?
that.
And so no, it is about that. That's why our social safety net looks the way it does. A complete fucking mess.
Okay,
right?
Let me tell you what it's about.
Let's give money to everyone who lives.
We understand that when you make a social safety net just for poor people, well, then it's easily attacked, right? Now, but here's the liberal, like Lana said, yeah, let's means test it. Oh my God, a rich person might get a check. Oh no! And that would be the first time. That would be the first time in American history that a rich person
disproportionately rich people would get checks.
Let me wait a minute.
That never happened.
Disproportionately rich people would get checks.
Time. And now that would be such a loss. How a rich person?
Disproportionately wealthy people get checks. This would be like having let's pay off. Yes, let's pay off everybody's yacht debt. But let's pay off everybody's yacht debt next.
I like that idea. Can I get a yacht? I'm gonna buy a yacht.
Overhelp the poor.
Hold on.
And if we make the benefit universal, then it's harder to attack. Simply the case. That's how it always works.
Hold on. Can I go?
Medicare. Even though Lactwood desperately wants to get rid of it, right? They still haven't managed to get Medicare because of the universal program.
Okay,
liberals can't understand this, of course.
Got you. Really quickly, this is specifically about poor people. This isn't about rich people getting things. It's just you don't deal with the other side of the economics of that. If you take the highest earners in the society and you remove any debt they've incurred, what does that do to a person who doesn't attend college, doesn't go to trade school, and they're a widget maker in a factory, who's probably only going to make $30,000-$40,000 a year? What
Inflation.
Do you think that college debt is the check on wealth? Is that what you think that is?
No, but it's gonna.
It is
to some.
It's the weakest. If that's what you're resting your case. Hold on.
Everyone,
check on wealth.
I'd like to go. Okay, so a couple things. First off, the idea that I'm in favor of means testing versus universal, that is disrespectful to me. I am absolutely a universal person. Okay,
yeah.
I think largely speaking, I'm for Medicare for all. I think that almost all welfare should be universal rather than means tested. There's a lot of reasons for this. I can get into that. This is not universal versus means test. This is disproportionately, as like what I said multiple times, this is a regressive tax. This gives more money to the higher earners rather than the lower earners. I'm going to say that really clear. Wait, hold on. And if we want to get frustrated that doctors are largely being pushed into wherever people are making more money, if only we had some sort of indicator that shows where society needs those doctors more. Oh, wait, we do. It's called a price. If more people are getting pushed towards...
I gotta say, I was pretty against that.
Absolutely.
Y'all are convincing me to get on board.
Why is the conservative argument on? But the price is affected by other things.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Of course it is.
No, wait a minute. No, you're saying that shows this is where society needs them the most. No, it's
where the hospital needs them the most.
Because it's destroyed by a bunch of other factors within the market as well, right? So no,
there's a lot of factors.
Yes, there's a lot.
I agree that I agree it's a complicated factor. I'm not trying. Maybe I should have given more nuance to that statement. Okay, fine.
Yeah, because
But-
you pushed me in favor of being in
Oh
favor
my
of
God.
Because it gives rich people money. I know, Gibbs.
Suddenly I'm
Guys.
in more.
This is unironically why Gibbs
I want
supports
to
it
be
now.
clear.
I'm just talking about
I'm
I think you're
starting to go that
underestimating. Wait a minute.
This
He's
is
talking-
I am
we're making a good
against
point.
regressive taxes. I'm against regressive taxes. When more money, when we pass a
grad school
bill
is super
and
definitely
more
regressive.
money goes to the rich people than the poor people, I think that is bad. Now,
Right.
I think it's fair. Ollie brought up a good point. If you drop out of college, you are saddled with a ton of debt and you aren't able to
There's none of
climb
the
back
benefit.
out. Now, largely speaking,
It's a
because you
disincentive for
dropped
dropping out.
I agree. That is fair. There's
You don't want people to drop
there's
out.
a conversation to be had. But largely speaking,
can do something else.
hold on. Largely speaking, I do think they are going to have much less debt than someone who has stayed in college more. That's just math. But I am more in favor of wiping the debt of people who haven't been able to graduate. But if you have a college degree on your resume, the amount of money that you are statistically more likely to get is far outweighed by the amount of money that it costs to go into that college. It is a good financial decision. And the idea that we are wiping that
the
idea.
math is changing on that right now.
It's not.
People,
It's
yes,
It's
it
not.
is. It absolutely is. Well, like
I'd love to see
college
your
People with a high
graduates
school diploma
are
only aren't making more
less
than people with
money.
college degrees.
Especially
I don't care if they're making
because
less.
it's becoming
People
more
with high school diplomas are doing worse.
ubiquitous. But that's
Could you
again,
show me
I'm
some
fine
stats
with
on
that.
that?
I'm okay with that. That's okay with me. Because college degrees are becoming more plentiful. And it's becoming more
Too
expected.
plentiful.
Though
honestly.
sometimes I don't know about that.
Wait a minute, you're talking about they're coming more expected.
yeah.
You're not dealing with people who only have high school diplomas in that. You're just talking about college people compared to other college people.
I'm sorry, I'm a little confused. Sorry.
You're saying that like, oh, they're making less because degrees are becoming more like. I don't care how college degrees compare to other people with college degrees. I'm saying deal with people who don't go to college.
Correct.
I
What
know.
is the-
No,
what is
I
the
didn't
solution?
say.
What
I didn't
happens
say
to
you
them?
didn't get. I didn't say you get no benefits, but those
No, but I want
benefits
you to
are
address the
disappearing.
poor people.
Address
But if the benefits
why
are
do you
minimizing
think
it
I'm not addressing the poor
regardless,
people?
You
This
haven't
entire
acknowledged them once.
conversation is about me doing that.
No.
I've been doing that the entire time.
I don't care about people who went to college. Prime, talk about people who didn't go to college. What happens to them?
I don't know. I don't know.
And
I
shouldn't be
understand.
shocked by
I don't
this.
understand what. I don't
Here,
know
let me just let's phrase it. Let me phrase it this way.
I want to go
Let me
address.
let me Prime. Here's maybe I think a way of using a hypothetical, maybe like condensing down the points that are being made to you. Okay.
oh god.
So no, it's please follow.
Spooky.
Please try. Come on, we can do it. So you would agree that if I gave you $50 as a loan, let's say, and then I canceled the loan, that's essentially the same thing as me just giving you $50. Do you agree?
Indeed.
Okay, it's just a handout.
Indeed.
It's giving you $50. So
Yep.
if it would cost you the
Don't
same
use
amount
that
of money,
terminology.
if it would,
Lifeguard, don't use that.
oh, hold on, I'm almost there, because he hates handouts for the rich.
Yeah.
So if I was just going to give $50 to a wealthy person, or just give $50 to a poor person, which should I do?
Give or why not both?
No, or in this case, it's or
If they don't go to
because we
college,
live in a
they don't
society with like scarce resources. right?
Okay.
No, it's not even
I
a
would-
or.
I would like to bring it up.
It's fine. No, I don't
Can
care.
I,
Give
can
to a
I,
poor
I would
person.
like to bring
Wait,
it
hold
up.
on. Give it to a poor person, right?
Yeah, sure.
In this
So it's-
hypothetical, there is scarce resources.
Yeah. In this hypothetical, that is the real world. There's scarce resources. Okay.
Well,
So if you're okay with just giving the $50 to a poor person, why don't you say we shouldn't do student loan forgiveness? Instead, we should just take whatever that would cost and give it in the form of, I don't know, whatever fucking poor program you people like, extra, some
WIC.
UBI pilot program or some
Hell
WIC
yes.
or some
Hell
fucking
look,
shit like that.
I'll tell you exactly why. But because student loan debt for other people, not me, already paid it off, right? Won't benefit myself. Other
talking about college
I mean,
people
maybe
again.
you could give me the money anyway. I'll take it. That student loans, right? Is a weight around the neck of
Jesus Christ, Prime, you're
everyone.
missing it.
Sorry, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Sorry.
Wait,
Sam,
wait,
talking
wait.
about
How is it a weight
I
on the
wanna
neck?
get when you're done.
Stop. Wait, let me hold on. Aren't the daily burdens of an average WIC recipient also a weight around their neck that is far greater
hold on.
than whatever
Wait a
burden
minute.
is being suffered
minute.
by the doctor?
Wait a minute.
All right, after you go, Prime.
I'm waiting. I am waiting. I am ready. I am prepared.
Do you think that Prime is against giving benefits, right? Additional benefits to the WIC recipient.
You can't just give everything to everybody.
Hold on. Actually, no, hold on, stop. Hold on.
Actually, I can. I can give literally everything to everybody.
Right? I'm gonna handle back to it, and then I'll deal with.
But I was the one that was.
And then give it to Gibbs. I want to go.
Gibbs, get the fuck out of here.
I don't know what you're talking about. 1 second. So you
I'm
have
in the
to explain
list.
to me later. I don't know.
You're only in one list, I know.
So I have no.
Yeah.
Actually, we can give those benefits. We actually can, because look at how we're going to all of a sudden find the money for a $500 billion increase to the military. Right? All of a sudden that exists, right? And I'm told, no, there's no money for the people. There's no money for the social program. Once again, what's going to
have these like thought-terminating cliches.
Excuse me, hold on, please. You're the conservative right now who's telling me that we're broke as a country, and this is impossible, right? Also voted for the president who plans to increase the military budget by $500 billion. Right?
How much would it cost to remove all student loan debt?
$1.5 trillion. And then the next thing you'll say, well, like we're broke. Well, of course.
Wait. How much would it cost? How much would it cost to cancel all student loan debt?
So, I don't know.
Do you know?
I'll find it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like $1.6 trillion.
I want to.
That's it.
I want to bring it back.
That's it.
I don't know.
I want to bring it back to the original.
But to be clear, if we did that, that'd be a one-time payment, right? If we increase the military budget, right,
we're gonna have to pay that going forward.
Hold on. Have we seen every time that military budget will increase year after year? So if it goes to 1.5 trillion this year, it'll go to 1.6 trillion at least next year, right? And so that'll continue on. As we know, it's only been a one-way ratchet, right?
But it's not a one-time thing because there's a cumulative process if you don't make college free.
The policy that I'm talking about, right, relieves people of that financial burden and then allows them to be more productive. Allows them, because so many people
pay more taxes.
Wouldn't this apply to mortgages?
That's a great question.
They can't even bother to leave. I'm not done. They can't bother to leave the jobs that they're in because they have to service this debt, right? Rather than doing the most productive thing that they could be doing, right? They need to service the debt that they've been saddled with. They shouldn't have had that debt to begin with, right? We should get rid of that debt, and especially not all of them are even using their college degree for whatever, right? But that is what it is, right? And so that we can have a maximally efficient workforce. That's why I would do it. Done.
Would you apply this to mortgages?
No, let me talk. I need Prom.
I want to go after that
because we're gonna move.
I want to go too.
Prom.
Okay.
I want you to help understand what I'm talking about. I'm saying there is a guy. He's not on WIC. He doesn't have any disabilities. He's 28 years old. He's 32 years old, and when he turned 18, he barely finished high college. Was not a good fit for him. Trades were not a good fit for him. He went and worked at the local widget factory. That's what he does. He makes $34,000 a year. He has almost no discretionary income. And you're saying that you're going to there's someone else that makes $150,000 a year, but they're probably paying like $25,000 towards their debt each year. And you're saying that you're going to give that person that's making $160,000 $25,000 more in discretionary income, and you don't think that's going to affect the price of goods. You don't think it's going to increase the cost of goods for the cost of goods because people at the top are able to afford more.
Yeah, I understand that.
But the guy who's not making any more money, Prime.
Yeah, I know.
The guy at the bottom is not making any more money.
Hey, is Prime against raising the minimum wage? Prime can do that.
The minimum wage doesn't fix that.
Like whatever.
He makes more than the minimum wage. Less than 2% of workers make the minimum wage.
It doesn't matter. If you raise the minimum wage, it works its way through the economy.
Do you think 34,000 is
also get an increase? But like, I don't like. So you're saying, hey, there's going to be an inflationary impact, right?
No, but you're great.
But like, there's lots of inflationary impacts. Sorry, what? Sorry.
Why do you want more of them?
Who is that hurting though?
Who is that hurting? Hey, every policy has It's trade-offs. I'm okay with this trade-off this one time. And we're talking about
why is this trade-off when it
what are
affects
the
the majority
benefits?
of people at the
I don't
bottom?
even know what the benefits are.
I just laid them out
Well, the
because
benefits
you
are
were
it relieves
too
the
up your ass.
burden.
Hold on, Hunter. You were too up your ass to actually
Stop.
engage with me,
I'm
right?
listening.
You were just waiting. Sorry, you were just waiting for me to
Too
stop
busy
talking. Actually,
hand
not
washing
waiting.
for
Still interrupting me the
fashion.
entire time, rather than actually engaging or anything.
I'm
So no,
listening to
Hunter,
what
I'm
you're
not going
saying.
to repeat it. Hunter, go into the VOD, rewind it because I just fucking told you. If you're too stupid to listen, then I'm sorry. I'm not going to fucking repeat it for you.
May
Don't
I,
ask me.
Okay.
For fuck's sake, I just spent like 5 minutes on a rant telling you what it was, right? And you couldn't figure out.
Okay.
I haven't heard it.
Is
That's
it-
your fucking problem.
Is it that
Hunter.
one
It's not
guy's
mine.
fault for college not being a good fit for him? Does that just mean he just has to die now in this new society? Like he has to figure out how to do something?
No, Bam. No,
He's not
Bam.
gonna make enough money.
My policy
He's gonna get
doesn't
stuff too.
involve
Wage.
executing the non-college goers. No,
So-
it doesn't involve executing them. They don't get shot in
Right.
the street.
Okay,
Don't
so
worry
what
about
happens
it.
to them?
There's
tell
no
me what happens to
provision
them.
in my policy where those people get shot in the street or
Right.
have to start.
So you told me what didn't
None
happen to
of
them.
that
What happens
stuff
to them now,
happens.
though? Give me something
Okay.
positive that happens to them.
Sure.
And how you're
Here's something
accounting
that's
for them.
positive. More businesses are created, right? And more productivity happens in the country, and he has more opportunities. Maybe he doesn't have to work at Widget Factory A. He can work at Widget Factory B. That is going to pay him more. There you go.
So I want to go here because I want to bring it back to the original topic because I know at the beginning of the show, yes, because it ties in.
should
And
go
I
back
have
to
2 points.
sports.
I have 2 points, and they're important. They're separate points. One's the Corey though, first, because Corey is an anti-college athlete, right? And originally, one of the first ways for African Americans to make millions of dollars, now this isn't the case anymore, was to be an athlete. And guess what? A disproportionately large portion of the NCAA athletes, especially of the 10% that do go pro, are African American. So, this is something that's giving African Americans education. This is giving them a chance at making into the big leagues, making millions. This is supplementary. A lot of these kids use their degrees afterwards. This is basically like DEI, but for athletic ability and intelligence. Corey, why do you hate African Americans? I have a second point after he engages. Yeah. Well, hold on. We have a second point
We
before
can
you fight.
say black now.
Yeah,
I think
yeah. Why do you hate
African
African
American sounds.
Wait, where in my
rough.
opening statement did I say that?
Well,
I'm
you hate college
against-
sports, so you hate African Americans because they're.
Oh my
It's
God! Are we
three
back
sports.
2 hours ago? The
Well,
conversation is
I've
shifting.
been waiting 2 hours to talk, bitch.
This is actually the topic.
You've been waiting 2 hours for that
I
point.
had my hand raised for a bit. Yeah, and then I have a second point about this other bullshit. What's Corey's done? So you shut the fuck up for a second.
You're telling me I hand wait
you
for
shut
this
the fuck
guy?
up. Yeah, we're waiting.
You
Go ahead.
hand
Hand
wash
wash.
for him, yes.
Yeah. Go ahead, Corey. I'm
right.
sorry.
Corey, do you
I
love black
believe I
people?
mentioned in my opening statement that I was uncertain of why the NCAA is different than the NBA, as in from what I understand, I would want them to operate like the NBA. So I want black
They're
people to have
professional.
more money.
They all
like the
they all
NBA.
they all look the same to
Okay.
you, is what you're
So I
saying.
love black people.
Okay.
All the
All right.
organizations
Stop
don't
watching.
operate the same.
Now as for what
Exactly.
y'all were just talking about, motherfuckers. So point number 2. So I was looking up some statistics while Hunter was over here making terrible points as always. I want to go in here, and I don't know if you know this because Prime brought up the military. Now Prime is all about raising people from lower ethnic groups. I don't know if you know this, but 17
From
to
lower
20%.
ethnic groups?
Yeah, lower ethnic groups. So
What's a lower ethnic group?
Yeah,
Give me the idea of a lower ethnic group.
lower economically earning.
He meant
lower
income.
Lower earning. Listen, we can talk about the specific.
By the way, he never
workforce.
slurs ever.
Yeah,
Never
never slurs. Hold on. I didn't say a slur, but the point that I'm making is 17 to 20% of the U.S. military is either Hispanic or African American. That's 2 separate groups. So 40% are Hispanic or African American. So by virtue of creating a larger military force, they get $30,000 at the lowest end, but that's not including the benefits they get from being on base, which after you include all the benefits equals out to about $60K a year. So what Prime is saying he wants to get rid of military spending, he actually wants to decrease the significant millions of people or thousands or hundreds of K people that are Hispanic or black and are benefiting from being in the military and getting college education.
So Prime, do you hate black people?
Why do you hate your fellow African Americans and Hispanics?
Why do you hate
Prime?
black people?
Why do you
Prime?
hate
Well,
these
first of all,
people?
Prime
I guess
isn't
Prime's technically African American,
so
but he's not.
Yeah, with all that money from the
Yeah.
military, they can start businesses.
Yeah,
So I mean, we can.
businesses. Supplementary businesses are being built because they spend with the military.
Well, as anyone
Business
who
loans.
actually cares about the military understands, right? That money doesn't make it to the troops, right? That goes to defense contractors instead.
That's why I mentioned their salaries and the benefits. They get from
Most
being
of
on
it goes to
base.
salaries. You're actually wrong.
30 to 60%.
No,
30,
but troop
30,000
wages
Okay.
just changed.
We
to
have
lower.
on.
They have to, like,
Sorry,
state that.
Do we have enough last year to pay their salaries? Did we have enough to pay their salaries?
No, we've been recruiting more and we've been raising their salaries.
Did we have enough to raise? Do we have enough?
It's not about enough.
$1 trillion. Was $1 trillion enough last year?
For the amount of people that we had and the amount that we set their wages at, yes.
But we had enough.
But we've been raising their wages and hiring more of them.
How is it in the budget?
By recruiting more of them
and getting more budget.
Does that exceed $1 trillion? Is it that it was so much recruitment that we just don't have enough? Does it cost $1 trillion to pay this army?
Probably not all of it, but a significant chunk of it.
Okay. So there is a certain amount that goes to the defense spending, right?
Yes.
And that increase isn't strictly about like paying the troops, right?
Not
and in fact,
strictly.
If we didn't increase, but if we didn't increase, if we left it at $1 trillion, we can still pay the troops.
No, Prime. Stop.
Correct.
You're right that we could pay some. Stop saying correct.
Oh,
can I finish? Can I finish my thought? You're just peppering me with the question. They're saying correct when I get 3 words in. So Gibbs's point was that the military pays a lot of people, and that the vast majority, and this is true, most of the budget of the military goes towards salaries. It goes towards the salaries of the troops themselves, and all. I forget the exact percentage, but it's most.
Hispanic.
It's most. It's most. Yeah, I know we spend a lot of money on missiles. We also spend a lot of money on the salaries of the troops and all the different support personnel that goes with that.
I have stats.
Here, I'll look it up.
It's not a majority; it's a plurality.
I'm already looking it up.
Yeah. It sounds.
Last I checked, it was.
Either way, you don't want
40% approximately 22.
Which way?
Approximately 22 to 39% of the budget goes to military. Goes to salary. So cut it at like 30%.
Yeah, I'm
approximately 22 to 39%. Goes to salary. So like. We can just square that
it's
off.
Almost certainly a plurality.
Hold on. I'm going to find the actual number.
But Lactoid said it was a vast majority. A vast majority of the budget goes.
I'm not on Lactoid's side necessarily. I'm just saying.
You're always on Lactoid's side. What are you talking about?
Always.
That's right. Come on over here.
Hand-washing fascists. Of course you are.
You know what's crazy?
You got gallons of Dawn soap in the back just waiting to hand wash.
Every time we're on different panels, me and Lactoid are like enemies, and then for some reason, every time we end up on Prime's panel, we become best friends. And I
just unite against black people.
I don't get it.
That's what it is. They hate the
socialism. Bam, you're on our side for this one. What are you? Come on.
With black people and with leftists, okay. You hit Prime. You guys come and attack Prime. Okay. Look at the division you caused between Prime and Bam.
You're right. It's great and black on black crime.
Yeah.
We don't do this.
I laughed too hard. I'm sorry.
And then Gibbs is over here calling Prime African American.
Oh, what are you doing? Not even African.
That's the point. That's what I'm saying. He's not an African American.
You're not African American.
Oh, Caribbean American. What do you want?
African American. I'm absolutely African American, Black American, all those things. Yeah, I'm all those.
Are you not Haitian?
That's Caribbean American
now. Of Haitian heritage as well. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know you were. I didn't know you were both. I thought you were.
Prime is bisexual. You found out today.
There we go. All right. Well, never mind.
Born in the States. Black.
So he's really French. He's really French. Is what it is.
Yeah. How do you feel with that, Prime? You're really French, really, when you think about it.
Yeah, we really get down to it.
Like Gibbs, you've never hurt me so bad.
Prime, we can do that.
That would tear me up inside, and I look.
Okay, but we're gonna have to we're gonna have to reconcile afterwards, buddy.
The last thing I'll say about the sports,
much like Napoleon, I'm gonna run to Waterloo. I'm gonna be out of here.
A little comment about it. I think that there is I don't because I love the sport of college football too. There's also I love college sports in general, and I think that they're different from professional sports, and I want them to remain different from professional sports. To answer your question, Corey, I don't want the.
Can you maybe illuminate how are they different to you? I'm ignorant on what.
So professional athletes have different responsibilities, different obligations. You can get cut mid-season. You can because you're an employee at the end of the day. They do their collective bargaining and things like that, but you are meant to show up at any hour. There's no rules or regulations on how long you're supposed to practice or
that's
when they need you to play.
Teams operate though.
but student athletes also graduate at a higher rate than the regular students.
Now, college football has meetings and things like that, but there are limits.
No, not only that. It's not only that. Oh, so obviously you have obligated time to study. So like what I was going to ask earlier was like, because you guys were talking about contracts. If the NCAA, like the student athletes are workers for the college, they are making money for the college, and especially if because how does the NCAA operate? Like, is it not part of the colleges? Because like okay, so it's different, but they are benefiting off of the students and the college itself, right? So like if the student goes to a D1 school, they put you in the NCAA in the game.
Well, it's not just D1, it's D3 all the way down.
Yeah, I'm saying like at the end of the day, the NCAA is making tons of money. You are an employee. I think what you were trying to get at in terms of like what the real difference between like NCAA and like the NFL was that typically the NCAA those players were playing for the love of the game, right? They're not getting paid. There's no tampering. It's like they're actually going in and trying to be like athletic in hopes of getting to an NFL. Probably
90% don't.
I think most just want to go to college.
Yeah, 90% don't, and 90% of college student athletes at all levels graduate and go into something else other than going like so. 90% graduate,
probably
90%. Yeah, well, that's what I'm just reading. Yeah,
football is like
probably high. Yeah, but like 92% overall, it graduates, right? And then 90% of all student athletes go into something other than sports. However, check this out. Regular athletes, the ones Corey wants over student athletes, graduate at 68 to 70%. So we're looking at 20% higher for student athletes. So student athletes are just superior to the nerds.
Oh, you mean wait.
I don't know.
No, the athletic stuff.
I don't know for sure, but I think from I don't have any data, but some anecdotal evidence leads me to believe that a lot of college athletes are sort of like pass through, as in they're graduating when they shouldn't have graduated.
A lot of them get fucking walked through. A lot of them have
that has not been a thing since the 80s.
Okay, yeah.
No, it is a thing. It is a thing.
The dumb athlete is like, and I'm not going to say it doesn't exist anywhere, but it's mostly a myth now.
No, first off, to be clear, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that I don't know how much stock I put in that 90% graduation rate. Like, this is a true reflective of like their.
If you're graduating with a communications degree, right? Like, it's different than if you're graduating with like pre-law or going into whatever.
Yeah,
a lot of the student athletes that go to a school,
people are pick their majors different.
So bam.
But they also graduate with name recognition. If I go start a business and I already have a name, that helps a lot. Like, say I'm Drew Tate. I don't know exactly what it does. If I go and start a business in Iowa,
the school isn't what gave you the name recognition. It was
my athletic
skills and like your ability to perform.
School.
It was, I know, but it was your ability to perform. Because like a lot of these people
get picked up platform.
There's a lot of the reason why like scouts are in high schools, or like why high schoolers now are like arguing like they should get paid, because like fuck, if you're bringing in the crowds to a high school game, right? When Drake is going to high school basketball games, because one, the mom is bad, but two, the kid is just like a star player. You have LeBron's son who's like bringing in crowds. Like, there's gonna be arguments for these people to get paid, but like bam. You were saying that the school can't sign a contract with
they can, but there's going to be limits. Like there's going to be limits to how you can do things related to incentives when you're still trying to hold this categorization of like they're not an employee. We're not a for-profit business.
So the issue is like when it comes to student athletes, I think the contract needs to be complete. Like, it does need to reflect that there's some professionalism there, because you aren't just a student at like you're bringing in massive amounts of money. People are coming in. Once again, there is the name recognition that gives the same. People are buying jerseys with your name on it, and then there is this organization known as the NCAA that's on top of everything making video games, doing the whole. Like, you aren't just a student. You are a worker for the school at that point.
Would you
disagree with that or no?
I mean, again, I can see the argument for it. Here's the question: Would you tell an 18-year-old kid who is like struggling at their school? Would you tell them that like you signed the contract, you can't transfer to a different school? Forget about like for sports reasons, like you signed this contract, you're required to stay here.
No, but I think there's a difference between like a student signing up to go to a school, right, and then like wanting to change to a different school versus a student being scouted to come play for a school, and then you're signing a contract to come play for me. Like there's a completely different
right, but it's still a contract. It will have to be bonding.
It's a different
contract.
That's what I'm saying. It's a different contract. Like as a student athlete, I'm coming in. I am working for your school. I have different obligations than just a student who comes into the school like willingly. Like if I made the choice to go to U of M, right? But then I'm like, I don't really vibe with U of M. I want to go to Michigan State. Yeah, like there's no obligation for me to be here. I made the choice. This is like, obviously I have the freedom of choice to go whatever school and pay to whatever school I want to pay to. But then like as a recruited athlete, right? That's what I'm saying. You aren't just a student anymore. You weren't picked up because of your grades. You weren't picked up because of your like scholastic ability. You're picked up because we need to win games. We want you in this position. We scouted you. We're recruiting you. We're going to give you certain benefits that come with like being like a student athlete, whether it be name recognition or being like the big man on campus, how it was back in the day. But now it's like you're also going to make money. You're going to make a different organization and different corporations money. So like, yeah, you aren't really just a student anymore. You are a worker, right? At a certain point, like these colleges need to admit that their student athletes don't even really need to be students. They are just recruiting. This is just like lower level professional football.
Or they want the athlete, they just make them a student. That's
that's what I'm saying. Is like you're making these kids students. A lot of them are coming in getting bullshit degrees. Like they're not really there for the degree.
Well, you say that. There's a difference between D1 and the other two, right? So, like, this is actually important. So, when we bring up student athletes, there is one exception to the thing I said earlier. So, they're both at 70% regular students and D1 athletes. D1 athletes are graduated at 70, so they're equal to regular students, all the other ones. So, when we talk about the NCAA, it doesn't just apply to, like Texas A&M or Alabama. It also applies to, like, universal. Texas A&M Kingsville. Right, yeah, like this guy might have name recognition, whatever, but they're going to require that kid to go to a certain amount of study hall every day. They're going to try to do all other things.
But they have different obligations, right? That's what I'm saying. Is like you come into a school with way different obligations than your average student.
Yeah,
right?
they have more school. Study hall. Yeah, they have more school obligations.
Wait,
more.
Like no. Yeah, they have more. That's what I'm saying. You have more obligations than your average student. You aren't just a student now.
Yeah, you have to keep the reason you have
these obligations. The reason you have these obligations to go to like study hall while going to practice, while doing 2-a-days, while doing gym, while having a coach up your ass is because you are there to make you're there to make the school money. The school is operating as a business, right? They're selling tickets to games, they're selling jerseys, they're selling hoodies, they're selling merch, and then where you're rated as a school, like if you're in the top,
but that's every academic student ever though. Like say I go to A&M, right, and I didn't fucking go be an athlete. Like okay, they have the commons. Where are you going to buy your food? Okay, we're going to pay for that. Oh, I'm going to pay for the dorm. I'm going to pay the dorm there. Oh, guess what? I'm going to go pay like for these classes. So every person that goes to college is just a money revenue source for.
Yeah, but there's a difference between the ones that are going. No. There's a difference between the majority that are going willingly, that are paying for the food or buying a hoodie, versus the students that you're recruiting that are making you the millions and billions that come off the back end of like ticket sales. Right? Me going as a student to like some school, I'm not bringing in ticket sales to the school. They may be making money off of me at the fucking food hall or at the school store or whatever the fuck you're talking about. But like, there's a difference between me and what I'm investing in the school and what I'm bringing to the school versus like a quarterback at University of Michigan, right? There's a different load of money that's coming in based off my input versus theirs.
Yeah, so if treating this like a business, would you be comfortable? Like, let's say I'm an employee here. Would you be comfortable having to profit share or have any type of salary cap with your teammates, the other sports at your school, or even within the conference? Or do you feel like a salary cap?
A salary cap, as far as I understand it, is like the team or the NFL has a limit to how much they can pay like any player, right? That would be the salary.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. Just
but then I can still go get my deals on the back end, where I can go.
Well, I mean, you can go like if you go do stuff with like the thing would be limiting all of that. They were saying like putting some sort of
no. I'm not okay with limiting like the back. If the schools want to have like a salary cap where it's like, yeah, well, realistically, we can only pay these players like up to like $2 million a player. I can understand that, but then like you can't limit their ability to go like make money in their community, right? Like whether it be like doing grand openings for stores or go Nike, like you can't do that.
The issue with that is that's how I think that's how you have the Wild West, because a lot of these boosters at these schools aren't employees of the schools. They're just people who attended the schools who have a lot of money. And they can make up a business. They can make up a reason.
They want to encourage you to go to this school. I can understand that, but like I don't see what's wrong with that.
Well, I think that there is a few things. I think the same reason the issues we deal with of like the haves and the have-nots in our society, like there's really, really wealthy people and really, really poor people. I think that you would like magnify that times 100 if you have two 18-year-olds in a locker room. One dude pulls up on a bicycle, another pulls up in a Rolls Royce. Like, and there's like that big of a discrepancy
in the locker room.
So I'm gonna be like honest with you, like in both regards. This already happens right now without these deals, right? There are going to be students that
I think that's the problem now. Like that's why they want to like fix it.
Well, no, wait. So there are students that already come from privilege that are gonna pull up. I went to Eastern Michigan University, University of Ann Arbor is right up the street. I mean, there were kids with fucking BMWs, like there were kids with hella money. There was also a bunch of foreign kids. That
what you're saying is just not true.
They're just going to school though.
I have Johnny Manziel in two classes.
Wait. The have and the have-nots thing. The have and the have-nots thing doesn't wouldn't necessarily apply, right? If you are on the team, right? If you go and like there's two 18-year-olds, right? And one of them is a bench fucking linebacker,
walk on,
right? They're just there, but then there's also like the captain and the quarterback, whatever it may be. Obviously, this is in any business, in any team. There's players that get paid more than other players, and new players aren't going to necessarily come in with money. They're going to have to deal with it for a year or two.
Actually, if you come in,
you were talking about like all these people get exceptions. I had Manziel in two classes, and so like I don't know what you're talking about. They're not getting like special treatment, at least not since like the 80s. Like I was saying, so like half of what you said at the beginning there is just blatantly not true.
I agree with you, but that's a different.
When I say okay, listen, if we're gonna do the anecdote, Gibbs, as a
he's one of the highest. He's a Heisman winner. He's obviously known for getting paid under the table. He's known for partying and doing degenerate shit, and he still had to make class every day. And so, like, I guess that it's just an anecdote. At one of the biggest colleges that's been accused of fucking NCAA rules.
What was his major?
I don't fucking know off the top of my head. I think oil field management because his parents are oil. What is your point? Like, the point is my point is his
major was probably something not difficult, considering he was there to play football, not there to go to school.
Yeah, but anyone could choose those majors. Right?
You have to go to school. You have to go to your classes, and you have to maintain a certain GPA because you are a worker for a school, essentially, right? They're not deeming you a worker. You are a student, so you have to maintain a certain GPA so you don't hit academic probation.
Sports agency, so it doesn't look like it was too easy of a major. Looks like wrong again, boys. Sports agency usually have to go.
There goes Gibbs again. He's always right.
I'm just saying when I do quick lookups of what we're saying, everybody says Gibbs, fact check Gibbs. He's harder. Guess what? We just fact check you there. And it's too easy. We're seeing these in law and legal fields now and rehabilitation fields. So clearly it's
what fields? What
rehabilitation fields. So listen, the point that I'm making is that you're just saying these things about these athletes. I could go down a lot of heavy athletes. A lot of them have degrees and all sorts of hard shit. You're just making shit up and say Gibbs is anecdotal when I can at least point to an anecdote, and you don't even have an anecdote to prove. Like
I went to college. I've seen college athletes, right? Obviously, some of them are.
Yeah, but not at a D1 school. You went to like Pussy Magoo school. Sorry, you want a man child.
Eastern Michigan University was the bottom of the D1. It was the last of the D, but it was technically D1. So fuck off. So I got you there, right? Listen, I'm not a fucking sports guy, but I did go to a D1.
Yeah,
school.
how many Heisman winners do they have? Because I'm talking about a Heisman winner I had in a class. Yeah, exactly. I rest my case.
I don't fucking know none.
Yeah,
but I partied in Ann Arbor, and listen, I'm not saying that like student athletes can't come in and get decent degrees. I'm just saying for the vast majority of them, they're not there for the degree. They're there to play their sport. They go to their class. And
how about Matt Leinart, another Heisman winner? Sociology. Is that an easy? Is that a gimme degree? You want to keep going? I can keep going.
I don't even disagree with
sociology is kind of an easy degree.
This isn't to be the
my point is he just doesn't know what he's talking about. I can just start going through Heisman winners.
But this doesn't even defeat the wait. But my point isn't even.
That's not even talking about
my point is that
they should athletes for the best degrees.
Wait, Gibbs, are you arguing against me? Like I'm saying that these guys are workers for the school. They are workers for the NCAA, and they should be treated as such. Like I don't see the argument against it.
I don't know. I think we were at a good place. Like at an interesting thing. Like the impasse of like, oh, okay. I think that like kids in particular being so directly like confronted with difference in wealth, especially and like you say that like employees run into it, but not really. Like you people make more and less than each other at jobs for sure, but it's not going to be a description of millions. But from the dude that like sits right next to you, does like a similar job to you.
Fair.
Like I don't know. I think that it could create like a social exasperation. Like
then why are you punishing?
It's going to come with a different level of treatment. I don't think necessarily in class, but like in things that they can get away with. Because like
I agree, but then like it seems like this you're punishing them because you're like, well, I don't want them to like you don't want them to benefit off their skills until they graduate college. But isn't there like a new rule that like you can't get drafted out of high school anymore? Because weren't like a lot of people getting drafted out of high so basically there are these kids with skills, right? They're able to go and play in like the pros, but then they're limited to like they're actually forced to not play in the college, right? So on top of being like they can't make their money, they can't go to the professional league, they have to play for college because the idea is that we're looking out for them. We don't want like kids to just go into making millions of dollars and then not being equipped to have their financial. So we go send them to college in hopes that they learn something. But then while they're in college, you also don't want them to make money.
Somebody dropped a super chat that I mostly agree with. If I want to top it up.
I'm trying. I'm waiting to.
Oh yeah, I'm just saying. It just seems fucked that you like we're forcing them to go to college and then not paying them while I don't know. Just you can read the super chat.
Yeah, no worries. We can get right back to it. My listening library. Thank you for the $5. Thanks for supporting the channel. It says, in my honest opinion, money goes into a savings account for each player, and it can be rolled over if they change schools, graduate or quit, and sign a form to get it. Okay, so it goes to a. Okay. Oh, it said, but they can't. I mean, they can't
like
spend it.
Like I think I don't think they get zero of the money, but I think you should put. I think there should be like after $200,000, it should be rolled over into a trust that they have access to. Just because I think that I don't know. Like I just don't. I think that there's like whether we could call them adults or not. I think that there's so many negative externalities. Unless they can do a sign off for something they particularly need, like, oh, there's this business venture that I want to do right now, and you can get authorization to like different levels of money. But I don't like giving 18-year-olds $9 million.
I think we have to. Oh, my God, go ahead, Prem.
I'm sorry. It was very quickly. I was just going to say that my only issue with this is that like a lot of the problems that student athletes were facing, I remember the time before the Supreme Court case, a lot of the problems we're facing is that they couldn't make ends meet. So like once again, we should be paying for college in general, right? But that was a problem for them. And
it also led to a lot of drug crimes.
But they couldn't. I don't know about that part, but you can tell me
because they would.
Sure. The one of the issues was that they couldn't actually like. Since they were getting paid, right? But they still had to go practice. So they had to like study. They had to practice. Then they actually had to do the games, and then possibly like recover from the games afterwards, and then do all the other stuff. And then that didn't leave them a chance to like get a part-time job or something to help cover expenses. And so, like, I'd want them to be able to access at least some of the funds.
That's where the stipends came in.
Well, every year. So this actually led to a lot of drug and violent crimes. Actually, so every year, I know when I was at college, A&M had 3 guys that were charged with drug crimes, and what they said was, "Hey, we are not getting paid by the school. We're not getting paid. We got scholarships. We're on the team. We got our stuff paid for, but we can't even eat because we spent the money on the shit." And so. A lot of these guys come from like low-income areas. Guess what? They know guys that can sell coke or weed or whatever, and they would do this. And then, last year, I think it was Florida State, they had a kid who was literally shot while he was out somewhere because he was selling drugs. Or not last year, it was a couple of years before and he was shot and killed. And every year you hear these crimes, like these problems that deal with these kids not being able to make the money that they were. And now with the NIL, we've only had like one shooting of the college athlete, I think, last year compared to like the year before. We'd had several violent crimes. We'd have kids suspended every year for drug drug offenses, all sorts of stuff, and it's been significantly lower since then. And I think that's
Winston won the Heisman and stole crab legs.
Yeah. So so
other super chat real quick. Then we'll go straight to you. $5 again for my listening library. He says, treat it like a semi 401k. They borrow against it and pay back last. Well, you don't have to say last super.
No. Keep super chatting.
Super chatting.
Interrupt me all you want with all your super chats, please.
Thank you so much. Go ahead, Ali.
So, like, for better or worse, I think we have to, because Bam, I get what you're saying, that you don't like the idea of financial discrepancy to like such a high degree, especially if you're like going into college, right? And we're gonna have to eventually deal with the fact that like influencer culture is a thing, right? And that like social media is a thing, and that like you can make a bunch of money at like the age of 12, right? It isn't like back in the days where like, yeah, you had to go to an agency if you wanted to have like a child star, right? You had to like go work for Disney, and like there was a whole thing that had to, like, now you can just make this money in your backyard, and we don't know how to deal with it. But like, we do have to reframe how, like, I don't think like keeping or like maintaining this idea that student athletes are students first, right? I don't think that's beneficial for the athletes. I don't think it's beneficial for anyone going in. I think it only benefits the school. I think it only benefits the NCAA, because we do have to like contest with the fact that these kids are coming in. Sometimes they're coming in already as celebrities, right? So like when you're coming in with the you know, the 50,000 or 100,000 Instagram following at 18 years old because you're nice with a fucking basketball or a football, like we're gonna have to deal with the fact that like you're bringing money into a school. There's a reason why you're being recruited, right? And then like we have to deal with the fact that like, yeah, we're seemingly going to have a lot of like 15-year-old fucking rich famous professionals, man. Like we either ban them from making this money, ban them from the internet, and like say, hey, if you're under the age of 18, you can't really participate in this world that we call the internet, or we're gonna have to like accept the fact that like, because like, where do child labor laws come in for these kids when it's like a 15-year-old who's sick at basketball, 100,000 followers on Instagram, has scouts and like NBA and like Sports Center looking at him and talking about him, but like we want him to not make money. I don't know how we're going to deal with that world. That's kind of like what we're getting into.
Yeah, what do we do for athletes who don't make money? Like, and I don't mean like even within the same sport is one thing, but like what happens to like the girls' soccer team? Because right now, because it's not considered for profit, they do have to, like, schools do a required revenue share. They're saying even though those girls aren't making money, they're athletes just like you for this school that they represent, and we're going to pay them. We
can either keep them on a salary program, or not salary program. Like they can just get their scholarships like they've been getting, especially if I'm going to a Big Ten school for football, but then there's like a lacrosse team on the back end that no one goes to and no one watches. They just happen to have like a lacrosse team. You can either pay them a low salary, or it can just be the scholarship.
What happens currently is they don't get a full scholarship. They'll get like a half ride or a quarter ride.
Yeah, like I mean, if they're already not getting like the full ride, like,
Title IX requires full scholarships, for a number of sports. Even I think the Score Act required like 16. The schools had to require
then like maintaining the full scholarship idea, so on and so forth. I mean, like once again, if your sport isn't producing this like bringing in the crowds, then I'm assuming the expectations on the athlete of that sport isn't as high as like the other athletes.
I don't know. I think like, because we talk about football and basketball, but like the majority of college athletes play other sports. And that's the only thing. Like I don't think
they have as high expectations on them.
But I think they would be pissed if they stopped getting paid now, because we're gonna show favoritism to these like.
I think there's
it's not favoritism. It's not favoritism. It's merit, really. Like if your sport is bringing in the money, if your athlete is bringing in the money, that is merit. Unfortunately,
that's. I think.
So now we agree that price is an indicator.
There might be a base amount. I'm just and I'm not too invested in this, but like there might be a base amount that maybe we do a bit of split there, right? Like from like the wealthier sports to like the poor sports, and then from there they get like a bonus for like whatever they actually bring in. Redistribution.
They already do that.
Not profits.
So I think that might be fine, but I don't know. But I'm willing to hear other things.
Oh wait,
right?
they already.
I just want to address lactoid quickly with what you shared with us.
Yeah.
Lactoid. First, I'll let you say what you did, and then I'll respond to it. Go ahead.
What I looked up?
Yeah.
You
can
share
you
with
explain
crowd.
a lot.
So when you factor in the salaries of military personnel and civilian personnel that are, under the DoD, it comes out to about half. About half generally has been historically what military funding goes to. But then we also have service contracts. So contractors to whether it be a PMC that actually goes out and does fighting that we pay them to do. This is different than procurement contracts. So I'm not including like paying Lockheed Martin to manufacture so many Tomahawks for us, but like including things like people, construction contractors who are building military bases, PMCs, etc. You get over 50% if you include that. So if you don't include that, then it'd be about half.
So I'm looking. So I was looking at other numbers, but they didn't break it down as well, like more recent numbers. They didn't break it down as well as the numbers you have, right? This little graph that you came up with. And like for salary strictly, it's about like 22%. In fact, I did the math myself. That was for the 2025 appropriations. 22% directly for military, for active duty and reservist military salaries. But then you have to include like a lot of things they're talking about, right? And a lot of things listed here, which includes like the health programs,
benefits,
like family housing. Yeah.
Which is all part of the pay that they get. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. But like it also seems like, well, like for instance, the DoD base budget here, which is 523, is it billion? I imagine this is billion. Yeah. 523
yeah, it's not
billion.
dollars.
That that's fair. Maybe it was francs. I don't know. But anyway, that is weird to say that necessarily comes as true remuneration for the base budget, right? That's included in here as well. If you don't include it here, it says military pay and benefits as a percent of the budget would be 34%, not half.
Ooh. Well, I wouldn't know all about the francs.
No, hold on. Explain that last part.
Well, I'm looking at the graph. It says 34. Military pay and benefits as percent of budget. 34%.
Yeah, because that's not including the civilian part of the military. I said including both military and civilian personnel under the DoD, because they're getting paid too. Yeah, so if you just talk about military personnel, like ranked military personnel, it's about 34%. But then when you throw on the giant cadres of civilian workers that work for the military and get paid under the DoD, they're getting 47. Overall, it was up to about half, 47.9%.
I don't know if we should be throwing that in. Like it depends.
Of course,
on what
that's under the military budget. They're paid under the military budget.
The Burger King.
Yeah.
The Burger King on base.
No. Specifically, what our friend Gibbs challenged me on is that hey, if I want to cut the military budget, I'm going to be cutting the soldiers who've been signing up. That's what we're talking about. So specifically,
it would be soldiers, but it would be all the other poor people who depend on those jobs to get to a position where they can start businesses.
All the poor people.
Okay, but
I hate poor people.
I don't.
He wants doctors to get richer. He hates the poor. People working for the military.
Whether I give a fuck about them depends on what they're doing, right? If that part of the civilian contractor is that they're working for like Lockheed Martin, right? Well, then maybe I don't give a fuck.
No. That does not include civilian like contractors in the sense of like procurement. That's not included in that number. Procurement's different. Okay.
What about so Burger King?
So this is what this is taking in is just the civilians and the military personnel that are actually working for the military, as in their employer is under a branch of the military. You have, in order to get above 50%,
DoD base budget authority. What is that?
That's how much the total budget is, and then you would compare.
That's not the. Sorry. Oh, so go ahead. No, I'm sorry.
Yes. So the DoD base budget authority, that's what the DoD has authority to spend. So if you divide that 177.9, that's the military and military pay and budget and benefits funding, that's on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, the 8th line down. That's where you get the 34%. But then below that, there's the civilian pay, and that's talking about the civilians that would list their employer as.
So just call half the budget.
There you go, Hunter, right here.
That's what I said. I said if we're looking at
That's what
just
he
the
did.
salaries and the benefits of the actual people who would call it their employer, you get about half. That's
Yes,
what I
that's
put
so
right
cut
there.
the other half.
Yeah.
Cut the
once
other
again,
half
the
so
thing
they
that
run
I-
in naked.
Keep their
So-
salaries, and then
Like the old
Yeah.
days.
They
So
run
the
in
thing
naked
that
with
I-
knives. That's what we were
Now,
in the military.
the thing that I
do.
was
Scare the
challenged on
enemy,
was-
it would
cut
scare
the-
The
them.
thing that I
Yeah.
was challenged on was the soldiers' pay. Right, that's what I was challenged on.
Because
Correct.
the poor and indigent,
To be
and
very
the
clear,
African Americans,
Okay.
Hispanics. Why do you hate them?
I was challenged on the soldiers'
I
pay.
distinctly remember saying including the military personnel and the civilian personnel under the military, because if you cut
Well-
the military budget, it's going to affect them too.
Okay. Yeah. Hold on. Sorry. That's fine. But like,
Okay.
what the thing that I was
What
responding
about the
to
Burger
when
King
Gibbs
trucks?
challenged me
Fine.
was the soldiers' budget, right? The soldiers'
Sure.
salaries, correct?
Sure.
Great. All right. And then
Yeah.
you responded with that plus something else, right?
Wait.
Which I said at the time.
Well,
Yes.
so if we don't buy those missiles
Okay.
and the soldiers aren't working
Right.
on those missiles, then they're not going to be hired.
No,
And
this
they're
is not
still-
including the people working on the missiles.
I know, Brian. I know, actually. But even to Prime's point, say it doesn't include. I would say, okay, it doesn't include those. We're just doing soldiers. So we're not buying any more missiles. So we don't have this system anymore. So those soldiers aren't going to work that system. So now they're not going to be paid, and they're not going to have a job. So Prime still hates African American Hispanics that work for the military. Why do you
still
hate
hate
these
them?
people?
That's true.
Yeah,
Hell
see,
yeah.
That's true.
yeah, no any way around it.
The only people I have sympathy for are white women. And I think that's very well established.
That work in the military.
What about liberals,
No.
Prime? How do you feel about liberals? I don't think
Read
you
the
made that
snow
clear on
bunnies.
this panel.
I will say this. I will say this though. If you were to increase the military budget by a significant percentage and made it so that it all went to pay and benefits as like a recruitment attractor, this would help poor people more than college forgiveness. That is undoubtedly true.
Hey,
Unquestionably true.
We should give more money to the military.
I don't support
Right.
that at all, but
Sorry,
I do
hon.
think that that's obviously true.
But that's
I think
not
that that's
just
probably
even I don't know if that is
hurting.
true. But let's say that it is, right?
Mhm.
Well, I really don't know if that's true at all, actually. I don't 100%.
If you increase base level salaries to the
Wait,
military,
hold on. Obviously, hold on.
Yeah,
Ryan,
let's say-
let me
hold
speak your
on.
language a little bit.
Don't.
Could I-
Don't.
Why?
No thanks.
Okay, wait, hold on. Could I just say real quick? First off, the military takes advantage of poor people. That they're essentially they increase the amount of health. They allow free college.
They
and
help
give them health care because poor people are more likely gravitated towards the military.
No, hold
So-
on. It's also an opportunity they wouldn't they can use to get
Sure,
ahead.
I agree,
Right?
I agree.
That's not taking advantage.
There's different ways to look at this, but largely speaking, the military is largely full of poor people, and I would say that that's probably because the military is geared towards them. It's geared to sort of take advantage of people, and
Because
and
people
bring-
who
bring
make
them in.
money don't want to go join the
two-
military.
Yeah, hold on.
100%, 100%. So
Why would
they're
they?
largely filled with poor people.
Is there another
Yeah,
another
you
half
need
of this
peasants
argument?
to fight
Because
your
like
wars.
you were about to say something interesting, but then you stopped. And if you stop right here, it's a stupid
So
argument.
if you cut the military pay, it's largely going to affect poor people. But if you give
Oh, okay. So
If
you
if you
Right.
increase the military
Okay.
pay, it would largely
so-
positively
Or
affect
people
Instead,
get
the
rich.
reason why people go into the military is because they lack opportunities.
Mhm.
That's why that happens.
I agree.
Right. And so, right, if we instead did
why it's an
universal
opportunity.
college tuition, right? If we did that,
Yeah, they
then
go to the-
we
they
give
go to
them a lot
college.
more opportunities.
I agree with
including,
you.
trade schools, right?
100%.
Yes, we wouldn't have to go into it. Okay, great.
You know how you
so
can
that
get
would be a
free
better-
college though?
That'd be a bigger benefit and no bombs involved, right?
know how you
get
free
no,
college?
no getting
But I don't think that was
shot,
part of the
no dying for
conversation that
Israel
Lacto was
involved,
saying.
right? No dying for Israel.
I agree.
That's okay. Great. So
True.
then it would be
Yeah.
a better benefit to increase do universal
Unquestionably, but
I just want to
largely-
point out how anti-Semitic this is. So you have a problem with people dying for the one Jewish nation? Is that what I'm
Yes.
hearing?
Particularly,
Crazy.
actually.
It's true.
Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
this is why
So-
Prime targets me. Has anyone noticed that Prime targets me as the only Jew on the panel? It is.
Well, I mean, you
Oh,
didn't
wait.
tell us you were Jewish.
That's true.
Yeah, it's
That
true.
is
He
a
dropped
little
that
bit
earlier.
noticeable. It's a little bit
It's a-
noticeable, Prime.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm just saying.
And I'm
Shit.
going to have Netanyahu come after
Hold
me.
on, and you were worried about my lists.
You might.
See,
I
like the Jews. They have money.
I'm personally
Big fan.
gonna
Well,
have Netanyahu.
I'll be sure not to
Well,
accept
Hunter's only
any pages,
kind of
okay?
Jewish.
So he's only half
If
Jewish.
we're doing
He's only
if we're
half
doing- no,
Jewish.
we're
He's only
not
half
we're not even from the mother, right? It's like the father.
I know it's my dad.
Drops it down
It's
to
not
like
my mom.
25% easy right there.
Wait, does that not count?
Is it
The Jews consider it through the mom, but really only the Orthodox. Yeah. So if you ask some Jews, they will not consider me Jewish. But if you ask Hitler, he would consider me Jewish. And if you ask Israel,
well, that's my authority.
Consider me Jewish. So it's like it is kind of. It's like that's who I'm.
Israel.
Wait, hold on. What's your bank statement? What's your bank statement like? How in debt are you?
I'm surely not Jewish then.
Oh,
Jesus.
I want to know. Prime wasn't talking for the last 2 minutes. All right. Okay. Anyway, thank you for that. That was a lot of fun. Prime was right again and again. It's amazing how that works.
Wait, I thought it was Gibbs.
Prime right the whole time.
Prime and Gibbs a tag team. I think we're agreeing on lots of things.
So you've been hand washing with the Trump supporter.
Washing him up.
He hand washes for Gibbs. Gibbs is the only Trump supporter that we support.
I'm also like on the Trump. I'm with Trump as long as he's making me money.
Hold on, sorry. One other thing. That this, and I meant to get this out, but you guys, we had a live the conversation. I didn't want to interrupt this, right? But it's for Gibbs. Gibbs. I don't understand your entire argument. So I forgot to mention that. I don't understand your entire argument as it relates to your political outlook. You have said specifically, and all my regulars will know this. You have said specifically that you don't care, right? Like how people make their money as long as they make their money, right? It doesn't matter if they trample other people, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
But now
if they're a pedophile, then it's
athletes, yeah,
but the
even
Democrats,
they're fucking pedophiles is fine.
Hold on, I didn't know they were talking about the Democrats.
So okay, so for the student athlete situation, what do you care if they're taking advantage of these student athletes?
I can explain this because it's actually easy, because this is why I think it needs to be changed. It needs to be called over. Like there needs to be some sort of overarching, like determinative, like kind of fit body. But they're not the NCAA. The reason why I care is one, I do want student athletes to make money. I was a student athlete. I didn't get the chance to make the money, but I could see how I could make some money on the student athletes currently. I could see how I could make more money if it was fair across the board and more student athletes had a chance to make equal amounts of money and sorts of things, or as well as the colleges being able to benefit properly. Yeah. So it does.
Wait, I have something to throw to you.
I want to ask quickly: if you were part of the NCAA, would you be advocating for the SCORE Act?
Depends on how financially tied I was doing.
Okay.
What if I could introduce you to an ideology that could essentially increase everyone's median wealth, largely speaking, throughout the country? And that would benefit essentially everyone, including college athletes.
Yeah, but if it's everybody's median wealth,
I've heard this one before, Stalin. No.
If everybody's median wealth goes up and my wealth goes down, fuck the median wealth. I don't give a shit.
But so if you worked for okay, this is incoherent.
What, you're surprised now? It's incoherent starting now.
Yeah. You're right, Corey. You're right.
If you only apply it to
what's good for Gibbs is good for the gander. All right.
If you only apply it to the NCAA, this may be true, but there's a plethora of financial incentives across a board of interests that you need to consider, not just the NCAA.
Let's wrap things up. Thank you all for being here. Much appreciated. And thank you for the people who supported the channel, which would be Gibbs in my listening library. I do appreciate you both. Hey guys, in case you enjoyed this, if you're sitting out there, consider following the channel wherever you might be, right? Twitch, Twitter, or YouTube. No, not Twitter. Fuck. Kick. There's probably no
called X,
but if you're on Kick, oh my god, fuck.
I don't believe that.
No, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, no,
can't watch it for Elon now.
But consider following the channel. We have these great conversations. I think you'll enjoy them. Come back for another one. All right, I'm gonna give an outro to all these amazing people, starting with my friend Lactoid. Thanks so much for being here. This is a lot of fun. We had to travel a bit, but we arrived at some great friction.
Yeah, I'm Lactoid. It was a good conversation. I'll be honest with you, I didn't know nearly as much about the NCAA as some of our other friends here. I had just a general understanding of this is a government bill that dictates certain things that people have to do or shouldn't have to do. And I was able to more or less find my position from that. If you liked what I had to say, you can find me at Lactoid TV on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. Thanks.
Thank you, Fred. Thanks for the honesty. Let's go to our friend Corey.
Yeah, as always, entertaining and grateful to be here. And I'm going to compromise with the other side, as in like I'm now
hand washing them.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna compromise with Gibbs, and I'm gonna revise my bans. Just ban football. I'll live with that, and basketball. And
at least that's coherent
and survive.
So boxes on the table. Too late. You can't take it back.
You got me. And I do want to point out, okay, just maybe as a warning to Hunter, since you and Lactoid seem to agree a lot recently, just keep it in mind that I believe we learned last week that according to Lactoid's worldview, he must concede that he is morally worse than Epstein. Okay, so just keep that in mind.
You're forgetting a very important exception.
No.
Added to that.
When did this happen? Was I here last week?
I believe you were.
Well, Lactoid thinks that you know the more money you have, the more moral you are. So
exactly.
With two exceptions. What were they? Epstein and Diddy.
No. What did you say first?
Those are the only two exceptions.
There might be more. We'll see.
But either way, you can find me on Twitch, Corey Campbell 84, Twitter, X, YouTube, Instagram, Substack, TikTok. It's Corey Campbell. Hunter, Ali, Gibbs, Lactoid, always a pleasure. Love you, Prime. So just a fair warning, Hunter. Fair warning.
I hear you.
Yeah. So I do like that Prime's worldview is significant enough to include King Leopold II of Belgium as one of the nicest guys ever because of how rich he got, killing millions of people in Africa.
Yeah, Prime.
Yeah. He's Belgian.
Yeah, fuck you, Prime.
He got more. He's morally better.
I don't know how.
Crazy that Prime would think that. I don't know.
I don't get. Appreciate it though. Gibbs, shout out to you, friend. Do you want to say anything else?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I just was throwing that in there since we're talking about morally rich kind of thing. Oh, yeah. So listen, South Park lampooned this really well. Student athletes. Yeah, they nailed it. Go watch that episode if you want to find out all the terrible things the NCAA has done because they're surprisingly very accurate. Yeah, and they're terrible, bad people. The Wild West is happening. There needs to be some regulation. This is why I'm not a libertarian because it's crazy right now. But, the Wild West is better than what it was. Mainly because I benefit and Texas A&M benefits. Thanks and Gig'em. Also, yeah, always fun to be here and appreciate it as always. Also, hey, we're gonna be doing Wild Things tomorrow for the last day of the month. So check it out, guys. Especially if we reach the goals.
Let's go to our friend Ali. Thank you so much for being here, friend.
Yeah, some of the topics you come up with, Prime, I'm like, I didn't know the NCAA would interest you at all. At all. I didn't know I was gonna have so many opinions on this. I'm not gonna lie. Bam came in with the contention. I was like, holy shit. I took a whole set of edibles before this, and they've been kicking my ass the entire fucking show. So I'm surprised I was able to hold up. But yeah, thanks for having me, man. Mondays are my favorite, right? Like we seem to always make a conversation out of fucking nothing, which is a great sign of these people. Thanks for having me, man. Thanks for being here, guys.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Last but not least, in fact, foremost is our Jewish friend Hunter.
You don't have to say it like that.
We have one part of the crew.
Yeah, don't say it like that. Just call
we have
Jew
the
friend.
Muslim. We have it works. The Muslim.
Thanks to my black friend.
He was way more excited.
Which I do have, by the way. I have black. I have one black friend.
Just call him French.
You don't seem happy about it.
I'm not. What is going on with my camera? I'm sorry.
Kick him out.
You gotta come off happier about it, right?
We can say that for sure.
Did you see the smile Prime had when he said Jewish? He said my Jewish friend. See, he said it with a smile.
Yeah.
You got angry when you said black friend, like you were forced to have one.
He's still mad as a Jew about Egypt.
I feel enslaved by me and Prime's friendship.
Would you
call that's the word I would use.
On this screen, you have a Christian, Gibbs Christian, right? Yeah, correct. We got a Muslim individual.
I am a reverend, actually.
That's true. That's true.
And we got a Jewish individual, right?
Mm.
Prime brings people together, and he loves people of all faiths, except apparently Hindu because we don't have them. But like we hopefully we can have them at some point. But like Yeah,
Lactoid has
we love our
rocks and
Jewish
shit,
brothers
so
and
he's
sisters,
close enough.
and we accept them and we invite them back. Go
The
ahead.
classic Christian value of treating people as morally superior if they have more money. Wait, that was Lactoid. I'm sorry. I do mix you guys up sometimes.
No, that's actually Gibbs. Just to be clear.
No, I know. Sorry. It's my outro. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Thank you for watching. I don't have a ton of opinions about NCAA, so don't follow me if you want to hear more about that. But if you want to hear conversations about means testing versus universalism, I am your guy. If you feel like the Marxist interpretation of giving money to everyone is bad, and if you feel like the libertarian idea of just like, oh, we got to decrease the amount of money, but rather you want to see the deficit as investments that we put into people who we feel like are able to benefit us later, that essentially we can recognize that poor people are in disadvantaged situations and we should give them more money so that they can make their lives better, but that we shouldn't be just frantic with our money. You should follow me because we're economically literate here, but also moral, which is apparently it's a little bit difficult to get both. It's a little bit difficult here to get both. But thanks for watching. Please follow me.
Lactoid.
Thank you for
I
having
just
me.
need to know.
I'm the most moral.
Where does Jesus land?
But
in
not
your,
as much
like,
as FC.
morality ranking.
Yeah,
Considering
Hunter,
the guy
why
was
did you
broke,
kill our savior, Hunter? Why?
right? Like the
Why?
guy was broke. Where does he land in
Jesus
your
fuck.
moral judgment?
I would think the inventor of morality probably has dibs. That's fair.
But even if he was broke, right? Like
But he has dibs. He
Jesus
invented the
famously
system.
poor, washing
he's
people's
not.
feet.
No,
Yes,
he's not.
he is.
He can
He's
invent
famously
anything.
poor.
He can just create anything. That's like,
But he was still poor.
He turned
Okay.
water to wine
He
and
was
didn't sell it.
No, he was
He was
feigning
pretty homeless.
poverty. If you're poor, that doesn't mean you like. Come on. Like,
Are you
oh,
saying
you
he
can.
was a champagne
Oh,
socialist?
He's the creator of the
yeah,
universe. He wasn't poor.
Yeah, he wasn't fucking poor.
Wait,
Being
are
poor
you
means
saying
you don't
he's a
have
champ-
shit.
are you
He
saying
has
Jesus is a
everything.
champagne socialist?
No, he was playing
Jesus
a poor
and
person
Hassan
for
Piker,
TV.
famously
Pretty
the
good.
same person.
Isn't that
No, he was-
worse? Isn't that like
no.
morally bankrupt? Just
No, it's
pretending to
not.
be,
He
to
did
make
it
a
for
following?
he did it for reasons perfectly sufficient for him.
He used to
The
be
inventor of morality.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
not the inventor. I know you don't believe that. Okay, I'm not even going to engage.
No,
with
but
this.
he would be.
Are
assuming
you
that Jesus-
Christian?
No,
No.
Okay.
I'm not
Would you-
religious. If I was
agnostic?
to become religious
He'd be a
at any
Muslim.
point in the near future, I would become Christian. Yeah, I actually went to a
You'd
church
become
on Sunday.
a Muslim. It makes more money.
Ollie, are you Muslim?
I mean, I'm as Muslim as you are Jewish.
He just
Yeah,
took a bunch
fair.
of edibles.
As he
I don't know.
exhales the
As
vape
Nick said,
cloud.
yeah. I'm not kosher. You're not halal. I get it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just trying to
That's
leave.
terminology, right? I think.
Escape back.
All right. Well, thanks, friends. And we'll see you next
Much love.
week.
Have a good one.
All right.
Be well.
Peace, everybody.
Have a good
Thank
night.
you,